everyone has a different story to tell. Shell, which says it's losing its...
The Tampa market. Spiral rise.
In Northeast Africa, precisely on the horn of Africa.
But the local farmers.
All right, folks, once again, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Frank. I am your host. This is the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series as part of WCC every Sunday or every Saturday as well. But today is Sunday, but we were on yesterday because of some reason. So today's topic, it says, France order the Nigerian government, the Nigerian military, to Foil Bennie coup. But Nigeria cannot fight Boko Haram, right? France, another country that does not have jurisdiction with the African continent, was able to order the Nigerian government to go to Burkina Faso to help a coup that was to take place, or that took place in Benin Republic, in order to reserve a colonial nation, Benin, for France. But on the other hand, Nigeria is not capable, or Nigeria is incapable of fighting Boko Haram. In other words, Nigeria as a nation, Nigeria that we thought, we think, we feel, or we believe, it is the powerhouse of West Africa. Nigeria cannot protect her own people. The government of Nigeria cannot fight for the people of Nigeria. So Nigeria watch Boko Haram, a terrorist group supported by USAID through American taxpayer money, according to Scott Perry, a U.S. congressman. Nigeria cannot ask France for France to give military equipment to Nigeria to fight Boko Haram. But Nigeria have the audacity to go to Benin to protect Benin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Frank. I am your host. This is the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series as part of WCC. What we are about to explain today, I know many of you, some of you, you heard the information already on various platforms. You have seen it or viewing it from different angle, from different perspective. So this is now something strange or new already that we are about to discuss. However, what you are about to hear is different analysis from what you already know. So this is just an addition to what you already know. So that is why we are not going to, get most video like Benny, what happened this, because some of you have already watched it, you already know. Now, there are other people, most of our people, most Africans, most black people, who do not understand, who have not yet differentiate the difference between a coup and a movement of freedom. the difference between Western bad coup and African-led freedom. Because, let me say this, most people don't understand. They confuse themselves. They confuse themselves. Now, what happened in Benin Republic? I do not call it coup. I call it a movement that was sabotaged by the Nigerian government, a freedom that was sabotaged by the Nigerian government. I don't call it coup. Now, listen to me, folks. Like I said, you heard this, right? From different platforms, from different analysis, but this is WCC. This is where we try our best to simplify things in a very simple way. We detail it in a very simple way. Let's continue. What happened in Benin Republic? I do not call it coup, even though it failed, because of the involvement of Nigeria. Now, let me explain this. Even before coming to Nigeria and the relationship Nigeria and France play, what happened in Benin? There are also platforms, various platforms, who came out to say, which is true. And they said the coup failed because there were differences between the military. That is, those who went to take down the government, the other military, and there were also, on the other hand, military who were in favor of the Benin president, who then went ahead to fight the military who wanted to overthrow the government. So in other words, the military split. One was in favor of the president, Patrick. And then the other one, they were not in favor of Patrick. They went ahead to carry on the coup. But the truth here is, what I want to believe, that was not a reason the coup did not take place. That was not the reason the coup did not take place. Folks, you see what is happening on the African continent? Let me say this. And this is what we've been saying. A lot of our people don't understand because they are so ingrained in Western belief. They are so ingrained in Western philosophy. They are so ingrained in Western freedom. But not understanding their demise are caused by the same Westerners. Maybe you did not get me or you did not understand. All right, let me take it from different angle. Let me take it from different perspective. Because you see the issue of Black people in general. You see the issue of the African continent. Whether on the African continent or out of the African continent. Our issues, our circumstances are puzzle. It is not something that you just gather one day and understand. It is not something that you just go on Google and then Google one thing and then you just read about one thing and then you say that's it. The issue of Africa, whether both home and abroad, they are like puzzle that you have to put together. And then those puzzles have to click before you understand what is happening. Let me detail it so that you can understand. Let me take it from different perspective. You see what happened in Gabon? We came out here on the same platform. And we told you people that was not a coup that happened in Gabon. It was staged. It was staged by the West. But you see, most of the time when we tell our people don't understand. They be like, what you mean? Hey, you still talking about slavery, you still believe in those mentality, you still think say the West doing that, the West doing this. Because they don't understand. They don't understand what they call sophistication. They don't understand what they call tactics. They don't understand what they call crafts. They don't understand. The level of Europe, the level of the West, they are so sophisticated now. They are so crafty to the extent, if you don't understand the African issue, if you don't put those puzzles together, you will not understand. You will not understand the game that is being played. We came out here, we told you people what happened in Guinea-Bissau. It was not a coup, it was staged by the West. And we said, you're going to see a lot of these things happening on the African continent. Now, we want to ask ECOWAS, we want to ask AU, we want to ask the Nigerian government. We want to ask this African puppet leader. Why didn't you send forces in Guinea-Bissau? Why didn't you send your aircraft or your airspace or your plane, your air force, Nigeria? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you send your air force in Guinea-Bissau to stop the coup so that that president of Guinea-Bissau should stay in power? Why didn't you send your air force there in Guinea-Bissau to stop the coup, to tell the people, hey, no, you know what? Election results have to be announced. Nigeria, look, like I said, you heard this coup that happened in Guinea-Bissau. I mean, in Guinea, Benin Republic, right? You heard it from different platforms. You heard it from different areas, right? Like I said, you are going to hear it here with different perspective. And this is it. We are asking the Nigerian government. We are asking ECOWAS. We are asking AU. Now we are asking some of you so-called Africans. When we explain what is happening and you guys think, oh, Pan-Africanism is dead. That was way back. That was W.E.B. Du Bois then. That was Malcolm X then. That was Kwame Nkrumah that time. You don't understand. When they say Pan-African, it means the same way the European nation, the same way Europe, nobody dictate to them when it comes to European issue, when it comes to EU issue, nobody dictate to them. When we say Pan-African, that's what we mean too. When it comes to the African issues, no one should dictate to us. When we say Pan-Africans, it means Africans should be able to dictate to their own circumstances. It means Africans should make business with whosoever they want to make business with. Just like how the United States can make business, can make treaty, just like how the United States have the right to say yes to any nation and to say no to any nation. When we say Pan-African, that's what we mean too. When we say Pan-Africans, we have the right to our resources, and no one dictating to us about how we should manage our resources. And when we say no, they put sanction on us. When we say Pan-African, we have the right to sell our resources to whosoever we want to sell it to, and to make deal with whosoever without no fear of threat. Most of our people don't understand this. But we are asking to some of you that support the Nigerian military or aircraft or air force in Benin, because you guys said it was a coup that took place, so they went in to help stop the coup. Now we are asking, fine, no problem. We agree. It was a coup. The Nigerian government or AU or ECOWA went in, right, to support the government there to stop the coup. No problem. Fine, we agree. Why didn't you go to Guinea-Bissau with the same attitude and behavior to tell the election commission in Guinea-Bissau, to tell the coup plotter that had a coup in Guinea-Bissau, to tell them this is not going to work. We don't support coup. The election result must be announced. If the opposition won, let the opposition go in. If the government in power won, let the government go in. Nigeria, why didn't you go there? No. Some of you people have reported on this whole Bennie issue, putting a whole emotion in it and not attacking the real issue and not questioning the real thing and the real people. And this is what Pan-African means. Don't present or represent with emotion and not asking a critical question. So we agree. You went to Benin Republic because you said there was a coup and you don't support coup. Why did you support the coup in Guinea-Bissau? Why didn't you send the Air Force in Guinea-Bissau to tell the people? Because elections happen. The next day, election result was to be given. The next day in Guinea-Bissau, election result was to be given. And then coup happened. And then the president starts tweaking, starts sending information that coup have taken place. Where was the Nigerian military? Where was the Nigerian Air Force to go to that place and stop the coup and say election must be announced? We didn't see it. Why? Because it was Western bound coup that took place in Guinea-Bissau. That's why AU sat down and kept silent. That's why ECOWAS sat down and kept silent. That's why Tinubu sat down and kept silent. That's why France did not allow Tinubu to go to Guinea-Bissau. Because France still have an interest, how they call it, in those places. The West, Portugal, they still have interest in those places. So they planned a coup because they knew the opposition won the election. And they never had no influence or to infiltrate in that opposition that was coming in. So they planned a coup. So we are not here based on emotion. We are asking the Nigerian government. Say you went in Benin to stop the coup, fine. Say you say coup is bad, fine. Why didn't you go to Guinea-Bissau to stop the coup? Because the people wanted election result. That's why the people went to the pool and the people voted. That wasn't a democracy. That was a democracy, right? Because you believe in democracy, right? I thought that was a democracy. Why didn't Nigeria go there with the Air Force and tell the coup people, no, listen, this is not going to happen here. There was an election and tomorrow election result have to be announced. There is no coup here. You know why? Because the government in power have lost the election. And folks, to some of you, I don't know what is coming on the African continent. This is how it's going to be happening on the African continent. Any government in power that is in favor of the West, and if there's an election time, if there is election time, they're going to infiltrate that election if they know the government in power is going to lose. And the opposition coming in and they have no tie with that opposition. These are the things that are going to happen. And ECOWAS going to step in. This corrupt leader, this corrupt puppet will step in to stop it, and then they make sure that government get there in power. It is not about the people. Why didn't Nigerian Air Force go to Gabon? Because it was not a coup, it was staged. Look, let me say this. Any coup, any relevant coup by the people, any coup that happened through the mandate of the people, you're going to now see going forth, you're going to see these ECOWAS nations stepping in to make sure they stop it. That is how they're going to protect corrupt government in power. And we keep saying this, but some of you, will still come back and say otherwise order. And that is why we say we agree. Coup happened in Benin. Let's just go by that narrative. Yes, it was a coup that happened in Benin. The question here is the same way France ordered Nigeria to go to Benin Republic to foil the coup. Why then in Nigeria, who is claiming herself as superpower, because now Nigeria is losing her respect because it is becoming unbecoming. Why Nigeria then he sent her Air Force to Guinea-Bissau? Why Nigeria then he sent her Air Force to Gabon? Why? Why? Now, the French government have agreed that yes, indeed, she helped. She sent Nigeria to go to Benin. The French government agreed to it. Now, folks, let me back forward. I have talked about the West, right? Let me go back to the African continent. Like we've been saying, this platform, we go both ways. You see, we Africans are the problem to our demise after slavery. Now, yes, we can put the blame on the West because at that time we did not know their intention. We did not know that the West, they can lie. They are thief. They are demon. We did not know that. We did not know that the people that took part in slavery, they are thief. They are demon. They are devil. We did not know that. They are liars. Someone who lies. Let me put it this way, because some of you don't understand. When they say demons, right? Demon just means someone who deceives you. Someone who deceives you is a demon. That's what demon means. Somebody who deceives you, somebody who lied to you, they are demons. All right? So at that time, we did not know that they were demons. Though that enslaved Africans, they were demons. We did not know that. We open up to them. Our people open up to them. But in this 21st century, if these people continue to still lie to us, after histories upon history, after they came by, they colonized us. After they came by, they killed our great leaders, directly or indirectly. After they came by, they created HIV. They used it as a bioweapon. After they came by, they created Ebola. I mean, all these things. They use it as a bioweapon. After they came by, they created steroids. They put it in us to destroy the womb of our mothers, our women's, so that they can be able to get bread because they want depopulation. They want to depopulate the African people, the African continent. And we still believe in these people? No, they are not a problem. We are the problem. Why am I saying this? If Nigeria, even the Nigerians themselves, they not know that Nigeria have aircraft. They did not know that Nigeria have Air Force. They did not know that. Because how would they know? Nigeria cannot fight Boko Haram. Now, let me say this, folks. Last week or last 2 weeks. Last week or last 2 weeks. We presented and we said the Nigerian army was sold to the US. And some of you don't believe it. That is why Nigeria cannot fight Boko Haram. There was a deal made under the Buhari government. Go and do your research. We presented that last 2 weeks and we read it. The Nigerian military, the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian defense as a whole was sold to outsider. That is why outsider can use Nigeria to do what they want to do. Nigeria have Air Force, but they can't fight Boko Haram. Nigeria cannot protect Nigerian, but they are going to protect Benin Republic that have our own military, that have our own army. Oh, so France, you can order Nigeria to go to Benin, But you can't allow Nigeria to fight and kill and destroy Boko Haram. But Boko Haram is destroying and killing Nigerians. Let's see something here. Now, you see, sometimes when we talk about these things, our own brothers and sisters, on the other hand, they always says, what does the West need from Africa? The West need nothing from Africa. They don't understand. They don't understand the importance of the African continent to the West. They don't understand that it is because of the African continent the Western world survived. They don't get it because they still come to the Western world and beg them for crumbs and beg them for aid. Beg them for aid. Aid that will never develop Africa. Aid that will never take Africa anywhere. If only you understand the meaning of aid. The meaning of aid is not to make you self-sufficient. The meaning of aid is not to make you independent. The meaning of aid is not to make you powerful or is not to empower you to be self-sufficient. The meaning of aid. The meaning of aid. The meaning of aid is to keep you perpetually to where you are. The meaning of aid is to make you dependent, not to make you independent. The meaning of aid. The meaning of aid is to exploit you. The meaning of aid. Aid comes with exploitation. Aid comes with a lot of disadvantages. The meaning of aid. Aid comes with insult. The meaning of aid. France provided intelligence and logistical assistance to Benin to help forward the Sunday coup attempt. Now, you see, a lot of stupid and dumb Africans will not be asking this question. Why will France give intelligence support to stop the coup in Benin Republic? Why will France not stop it? Why did France never stop a coup in Guinea-Bissau? Why did France never stop the coup in Gabon? Because the incident in Gabon was not a coup. The incident in Guinea-Bissau was not a coup. Let's continue here. France aided Benin in forwarding a coup attempt with intelligence and logistical support. Benin successfully thwarted a mutiny on Sunday, as announced by the president. Collaboration included Nigeria providing military support. Collaboration included Nigeria providing military support. Now, let me say this. And I said this, and let me emphasize or re-emphasize on it again. You know, there are rumors, and I don't blame them. These are bloggers. They do it to get views to make money on their various platform. I don't blame them. But equally so, it shouldn't be on the demise of the African people, the African struggle. Now, people are saying that those bloggers who don't do research properly, or maybe they did, but because they want to make money, they are bloggers, they don't present the facts or the reality. They are saying, most of them, some of them on their platform, they are saying the coup failed because there were military differences. There were two groups in the military. One group wanted a coup, and then the other group, they were supporter of the president. That was not a reason the coup failed, folks. The reason the coup failed because on the other hand, Ivory Coast, as you all understand, Abraham Traoré have been accusing Ivory Coast. So while this was happening, Ivory Coast also took her military to the border of Benin to fight, and Ivory Coast also fight the coup plotter or the coup leader. And at the same time, the Nigerian Air Force was in Benin fighting the coup leaders. That's why the coup failed. They did not fail because there was military differences. Yes, there might have been military differences, but that was not the reason the coup failed. That's why on this platform we take our time to understand before we present. Because we want to make sure our people understand. Because what we are dealing with, it is bigger than you think. Neocolonialism is still happening. You know, when we tell people no African nation is free apart from the Shahid nation, people think we're playing fun. That so-called independent, you be celebrating, oh, Liberia independent, and blah, 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 blah. You are a slave. You are not free. You are still a colony. That so-called independent, oh, Nigeria independent, they blah, 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 blah. You are still a colony. There is no independent nation in Africa apart from the Shahid nation. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, those are the two independent nations. The three independent states in Africa. Because we understand what independent means. We understand what it means when you say independent. When you are independent, you do not depend on Europe and America for aid. When you are independent, you do not rely on Europe and America to dictate to you. When you are independent, you do not sign bad deal with Europe and America. When you are independent, you examine every businesses, every portfolio coming to you. When you are independent, you make sure you save and protect the life of your people. You don't just sign any kind of deal because you want to get crumbs. And that is why Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, they make sure if they are doing deal with any outsider, it should be the deal that will benefit their country, their people, and not just the people in power. That is what independent is. We understand what it means when they say independent. And that is what Pan-African stand for. Most of our brothers and sisters don't understand when we say we are Pan-African. All they think of Pan-African is dead a long time. When you say Pan-African is dead, I mean you are dead. That means you deny yourself. Because Pan-African just mean also I am an African. That's part where I was born. And that is what a Chinese man believes. A Chinese man can be born in Africa, he still believes he's a Chinese. European will be born in Africa, he still believes he's an European. He will still carry European ideology. He will make sure if anything to do to protect Europe, he will do it. If it is anything that will carry Europe down the drain, he's not going to agree. He will fight and protect Europe. That's the mentality and the attitude of the West. When they say they are Westerners, that's what it means. So some of our brothers and sisters, they don't understand when you say Pan-Africanist. But sometimes I tell them, go and Google Pan-European. You will see it. Why are they called Pan-European? Why are they called Pan-European? Because an African man can never be Pan-European. They know it. We have done research on these things. We know it. So when we come here, when we speak, and we speak because we know. Go and do your research and see Pan-American. You will see it there. You will see it. But our African people, our black people, when you say, some of them, when you say Pan-Africans, they think it's something demonic. They think it's something that it should never exist. But Pan-European exists, Pan-American exists. They are there. So what is wrong with Pan-African? So sometimes in this case, in this scenario, I do not blame the West. You know why I don't blame the West? Nigeria, you cannot protect your own people. You cannot fight for your own citizens. And then you allow France to order you to go to Benin Republic. And then Africans, you went to Benin Republic to go fight the coup just to preserve the influence of France, to continue to loot your people, to see your people suffer while your resources go to France and the French economy. And then when the French ready, when the European ready, they call you shithole. When the European ready, they call you insignificant Africans. So collaboration included Nigeria providing military support. The situation highlighted democratic challenges in West Africa in recent regional coups. Now, let's read something here. France provided intelligence and logistical assistance to Benin to help foil Sunday coup attempt. Official from the French presidency said on Tuesday, now you so-called Africans, you so-called Negro, why didn't you ask? Why can't you ask? Why can't you question the French government? Oh, then why it could happen in Guinea-Bissau? Why didn't you intervene? Why didn't you stop it? So that the people can have free and fair elections, so that election result can be announced. Why didn't you stop the coup in Gabon? Oh, so now you understand when we're telling you people these things going to happen, a real coup that will take place by the people. These Westerners will use another Africans to step in to stop it. Because the reason why the French government sent Nigeria, a puppet government, you know, Nigeria is losing it. I'm telling you. Nigeria, we salute you, but you are losing it. You are losing it. You are losing it. Benin Republic have a sea coast. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, they don't. So if this coup was going to take place and happen, the possibility, the reality, the belief is Benin was going to ally with the Sahel nation, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. They was going to join the AES nation. What that mean now is the AES nation, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso will now have access to the sea. Will now have access to the ocean. So in other words, Nigeria, Tinubu, they are still against African freedom. They are still against African freedom, fighting for their slave master. You know, the slave always want to be the slave. The host Negro always want to be the host Negro. According to French official, Paris also share intelligence with Nigeria. Paris also share intelligence with Nigeria. Oh, Paris can share intelligence with Nigeria, but Paris cannot share intelligence with Nigeria to fight Boko Haram. But rather, a French NGO, Médecins Sans Frontières, are calling to the Nigerian government. Médecins Sans Frontières were providing ammunition, medical support to the Boko Haram. Oh, Nigeria, you so-called bloggers, you are not talking about this. But you are so eager, you are so concerned about Nigerian Air Force landing in Burkina Faso, and where Burkina Faso military or government should seize the Nigerian Air Force. That should not even be your concern. That should not be your concern. What should be your concern here is, why will France provide intelligence to Nigeria about coup, but France cannot provide intelligence to Nigeria to fight Boko Haram, to destroy Boko Haram? What you should be asking your Nigerian government is, you have Air Force, but why is Boko Haram killing us and you can't support us? Instead of you turning your frustration to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, turn it to your government. Because they are part of the problem. According to French official, Paris also shared intelligence with Nigeria, which deployed fighter jet and ground troop, to support its smaller neighbor at Benin request. So what happened here is, you know what, most of you don't understand. That is why I said, yes, there were two groups. There might have been two groups. One, and you know, on the other side, and the other side, and no, that was not the one. That was not the reason they could fail. They could fail because, let me tell you something. Now we want to believe there were even French military that was fighting in Benin, fighting the coup leaders. Because listen to this. According to French official, Paris also shared intelligence with Nigeria, which deployed fighter jet and ground troop. So you see, it was not just the military that was in favor of the president that was fighting. No, there was also ground troop. It could be possible there were even French military here, because there are French base in Ivory Coast. And what we have come to understand or to read or to research, that we know the Ivorian military also were in Benin fighting. And we have French military in Ivory Coast. And now they are saying there were also troops on the ground to support. So you see who then were fighting here. We are in this for a very long time, folks. We are in this for a very long time on the African continent, folks. Because these colonial government, these puppets, these African leaders who are puppets to the West, they know that we Africans, we support military rulership over democratic. Because as far as we are concerned, there is no democratic nation in Africa. Democracy is not practiced in Africa. There is no African nation that is democratic. And that is why sometimes we keep saying we have to define democracy in our own perspective, our own struggle, and our own belief. Non-domination based on Western ideology or agenda. So what happened in Burkina Faso, let's say again in Benin, as I tell people, it was not a coup. What happened in Burkina Faso, that the Nigerian government, the French government, and the Ivorian government were fighting. The people were fighting for freedom. The people were fighting for liberation. The same way we believe in the 60s, when Nkrumah fought for independence, for liberation. When Amilcar Cabral, Ama Sekou Touré, Julian Nyerere, Jomo Kenyatta, when they fought for independence at that time, freedom. It is the same freedom that we are still fighting today. So what happened in Benin was not a coup. It was freedom that was stepped with. It was freedom that was stopped because of the involvement of Nigeria. I believe if Nigeria was not going to listen to France, that was not going to happen. And this happened because Africa, we are not united. It is because of our stupidity, divide and conquer. If we were united, France, or let's say France was not going to convince Ivory Coast to go to Benin. France was not going to convince Nigeria to go to Benin. But because we are not united, and because we are not united, the West take advantage of our disunity. Very sad, but a sad reality of the African struggle. France's role comes despite its broader military pullback from West Africa following a wave of coups. Now, let me take this out. Let me take this out. Let me take this out. Let's see the next article here. Let's see the next article here. Now, the next article, it says Nigerian airstrike help foil coup attempt. Benin says. Benin says. So now you understand, it was not because of the military split, you know, there were two sides, one on the other side, one. No. That was not the reason the coup stopped. That was not the reason. Now, let's read here. What we can say here is Africa and Nigeria were the cause of another nation to be fully independent. Africa and Nigeria stepped on another nation to be fully independent. Because what happened in Nigeria, the citizens, what happened in Benin Republic, the citizens were in favor of the military to carry on the coup. You know, news reaching to us is that there's a lady from Benin Republic. She's always on TikTok doing her things. She went on TikTok. She praises the coup that happened in Benin Republic and talked about the coup leaders, in favor of the coup leaders, and she was happy. News reaching to us is that she got arrested by the government. She got arrested by the government and she's in prison right now. That's the kind of leadership they want us to have in Africa. Someone shouldn't speak out about the wrong or the right or what they support. So all the ills in society in Benin Republic, and someone come up, first of all, why would a young person of that support the coup? I think these are the questions our leaders are supposed to be asking. Are we doing the wrong thing that this generation does not support us again? What are we doing? But they got her, they put her in jail for saying she support the coup, but not asking her why. Why you support the coup? Why are we not doing that? You do not favor us, but you support someone that you don't even know. Let's continue here. Nigeria went in Benin to protect a corrupt leader, but cannot protect her own citizens. Nigeria used her air force in Benin Republic, but Nigeria cannot use her air force in Nigeria to protect her citizens to fight Boko Haram. But Boko Haram is dead, killing Nigerian citizens, innocent citizens. But Nigeria cannot use her air force to go and bomb Boko Haram. Okay, maybe you did not understand me. Nigerian government can go and negotiate with the enemies, Boko Haram, the terrorists, that has been funded by American taxpayer money through USAID according to Scott Perry. But Nigeria cannot go to Benin to make a deal with the military and says, you know what? Say y'all don't like this government and y'all carry on cool, make sure the nation get back to democratic rule, or make sure you do the right thing for the people, to provide for the people to which you said this government is not providing for the people, that you came to take down the government. I thought Nigeria was supposed to find the other way around. So the Nigerian Air Force was made to go to other countries to protect other citizens. But the Nigerian Air Force was never made to protect the life of innocent Nigerians who are dying from Boko Haram. So the Nigerian military or government can make deal with Boko Haram for Boko Haram to continue killing Nigerians. So the Nigerian Air Force can get in the air to go and protect other citizens, but the Nigerian Air Force can never get in aid to go and protect Nigerians. Let's read. Nigeria launches real military intervention abroad. Mutiny soldiers try to seize Benin President Patrick Talon. Nigeria sees neighbor Benin as key to security and economic. All right. Nigeria sees neighboring country Benin as key to security and economy. Now, Nigeria, there is nothing wrong with seeing your neighboring country as a key partner to security and economic. But do you have a secure nation? Your people are dying from Boko Haram. And these Boko Haram are in the forests of Nigeria, not Benin. Are in the beaches of Nigeria and terrorizing Nigerians, killing Nigerians, destroying Nigerian villages, burning Nigerian villages, displacing thousands of people, making them homeless. There is no security in Nigeria. The life of Nigerians are under threat. But the Nigerian government cannot protect them or put her air force in the air to go and bomb Boko Haram. But the Nigerian government is concerned about Benin Republic. Now, it is not a bad thing to be concerned about your neighboring country. It is not a bad thing to be concerned about Benin Republic. But how are you concerned? Are you concerned in the same manner of your own people that you serve? Of your own people that you ruled? Are you concerned? Nigerian fighter jet carry out airstrike to thwart at Kud, bed in Benin, with mutiny soldiers tried to seize President Patrick Talon, according to an account provided by Benin government on Monday. The soldiers got close up enough for Talon to witness violence, clutches firsthand, and they also managed to kidnap two military or senior military officials who were also related or released until Monday morning, according to the summary of Sunday coup attempt published after a cabinet meeting. Nigeria has earlier acknowledged sending fighter jet and ground troop. Nigeria can do this, but Nigeria cannot send fighter jet and ground troop to kill Boko Haram, to protect her people. Folks, last 2 weeks we told you The Nigerian government, it is not owned by the Nigerian. The Nigerian force, let me put it that way. The Nigerian force that's supposed to protect Nigerian is now owned by the Nigerian. Buhari signed that contract over to the foreigners, to foreign government. We read it last 2 weeks. Any of you want the articles? You can inbox me after this live. Inbox, you will read it. Nigeria had earlier acknowledged sending fighter jets and ground troop to a much smaller neighbor to help restore order, aiming to head off a political crisis in a country that is baffling jihadi. While Nigeria is also baffling Boko Haram, but Nigeria cannot fight Boko Haram. Nigeria is concerned about jihadi in Benin. But Nigeria is not concerned about the Boko Haram that is destroying and displacing thousands of Nigerians in villages, killing them, beheading them, raping them, looting them, their property, whatsoever you think about. But Nigeria is not concerned about Boko Haram, but Nigeria is concerned about jihadi in another country. Now, it's not a bad thing to be concerned. But before you watches your eye, to take out the stain from your eyes, or to take out the stain from another person's eye, make sure there is no stain in your eye. Because if not, you'll be laughed at. The Mutiny soldiers coming from Tobin military base started their attack before dawn on Sunday. First going to the home of General Betin Bada, Talon military chief of staff. The statement said, Bada's wife was killed in the clashes that erupted, though Bada himself managed to escape. It said, the soldier aimed to seize General Abu Asa, the chief of staff of the army, the colonial Fazol Gomana, who were free Monday morning in the northern town of Tachahuru, the statement said. Nigeria extra immobilized around ammo vehicles and resulted in no loss of life, it said. Now, Nigeria have all these, but the Nigerian government cannot provide none of these logistic support or material or equipment to the military of Nigeria to fight Boko Haram. Let's read. Special forces, listen to this. Special force from Ivory Coast. So you see what went on here. I told you earlier on, bloggers coming out to say, the military split, and that's why the coup did not happen. No, not because the military split. A special force from Ivory Coast arrived late Sunday, because the coup happened in Sunday. A special force arrived from Ivory Coast while the Nigerian government sent her air force in Benin Republic. At the same time, the Nigerian government sent ground troop in Benin Republic. There were also ground troop from Ivory Coast to Benin Republic. Let's read. A special force from Ivory Coast arrived late Sunday to position itself in Cotonou for further action. If necessary. Did you see that? Folks, the ECOWAS is a failure to the African continent, and AU, they are failure to the African continent. And once we have said this, and we'll keep saying it, both ECOWAS and AU need to be dissolved. Because these two entities are actually there. They are there now to fight for this corrupt government in power. Because this is what's going to be happening. look, a real coup that will take place, a real coup that will take place that is not of the West. This is what's going to happen. But a coup that will take place that is influenced by the West is going to be just like how you see Guinea-Bissau and Gabon coup happen, which was not a coup. But any true coup that takes place for liberation, for freedom, this is how it's going to play out. We're going to find these slaves on the African continent call themselves leaders. This is what they're going to do. They will not protect their people, but they will go in to protect that particular Africans to make sure that African leaders stay in power, to continue to subjugate and treat their people. You know, these people don't care about Africa. They don't care. Because they are government created by the West. Who don't know Tinubu was created by the United States? Who don't know Tinubu was created by Washington, D.C.? When Tinubu have a military record, as it have been alleged in Chicago, it have been alleged that Tinubu was a drugs dealer. It have been alleged. The information is there. Go check it up. Let's take this out. So, what happened in Benin Republic? It was a freedom that the people, because you see what happened in the Sahel region, and we've been telling people it was not a coup. That was freedom. What happened in the Benin Republic? That was what you call freedom. And what happened in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso? That was freedom. Those leaders are not coup leaders. They are liberator. They are freedom fighter. Those people care for their nations. And what is so happening in Benin Republic? Similar thing that should have happened. But Nigeria and Africa went in, they stopped it. You know, what happened during the 1960s with the Morovia group and the Casablanca group? That is what exactly going on the African continent. The Morovia group is still there sabotaging freedom, while the Casablanca group are there fighting for the freedom of Africa, are there fighting for the liberation of Africa, the Casablanca group. You know, Kwame Nkrumah's spirit, Sankara, Lumumba, their spirit are in the modern day Casablanca group. And while the Morovia group, their spirit are still in the modern day slave leader that we have on the African continent, who are there to sabotage the freedom of the African continent. So, folks, when this happened, right, after they carry on the strike, and then they fought for France, because the Nigerian government, the Ivorian government, they never fought for the people of Benin, because the people of Benin, they need freedom. The people of Benin, they don't want for France to continue taking advantage of them. The people of Benin, they are tired. So the people of Benin needed freedom. But the Nigerian government and the Ivorian government stopped that freedom. And then what happened here, folks? After this, the Nigerian government feared that they went to Benin Republic, they used their air force and their ground troop, so they succeeded, right? They succeeded in Benin Republic. So now they wanted to go to Burkina Faso to try their power, because they succeeded in Benin Republic. They used their air force and their ground force. They succeeded in Benin Republic, right? So they wanted to go to Burkina Faso to go try their nonsense. They succeeded in Benin Republic. They wanted to go to Burkina Faso to try their nonsense, to try their military might. You see, the bloggers, please, we understand you are bloggers, but equally so, if you are breaking out a story about the African struggle, if you are presenting the story about the African struggle, let it be a perspective that will educate, that will free the mind of the African man, that will free the mind of the black man, that will empower the black man to see the truth and to be bold. Don't create a context instead of the black men, the African men, being empowered and knowing the truth and know who the true enemies are. Don't create a story or a scenario that the black men or the African men will look at the enemies and think that enemy is the savior. And then look at the savior and think the savior is the enemy. That have been the problem of the African people. We do not know how to present, or maybe we do not know our enemies. And that have been one of our difficulties, because we have not yet identified who the enemies are. You see, even the US know her enemies. If you ask the US, who are your enemies, who is your enemies, the US will tell you. The Chinese, they know their enemies. If you ask the Chinese, who are your enemies, who is your enemies, the Chinese will tell you. If you ask the European, who are your enemies, the European will tell you. If you ask North Korea, who are your enemies, who is your enemies, North Korean will tell you. If you ask the Australian, who are your enemies, who is your enemies, the Australian will tell you. I mean, if you ask everyone about their enemies, they will tell you their enemies. And they're not going, they won't tell you their enemies is some kind of a jinna or some kind of a devil or how they call it, or dragon. They're not going to tell you, oh, our enemy is a dragon coming from the sea, coming from under the ground. No, they will tell you their enemies, and their enemy will be another nation, another human being, another race. But we Africans, we do not know. If you ask African about their enemies, African men will start praying. African men will start praying to a God that they have not even seen. Oh, the devil is a liar. Oh, blah, 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 blah. You will go in the ground. You will go where you coming from. You will go back under the sea. You will go back to the marine water you coming from. You will go back to the marine. You will go back where you coming from. You will go in the ground. You will go back. You will go back to that first. You will go back. You never see the enemies of Africans, but Africans always praying that they have enemies. But when you ask them, but who are this enemy? Who is this enemy? What is this enemy? They can't tell you. You know what I'll tell you? You don't understand the spiritual realm. If you understand the spiritual realm, you will know the enemies. You will know the place of the enemies. African people only have spiritual enemy. They do not have physical enemy. But if you ask Europe, you ask America, you ask China, you ask all the other places, they will never tell you about spiritual enemies. They will tell you about physical enemy. They will never tell you about spiritual enemy. Now, that is not to say you don't have people spiritually that are fighting you. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. There are certain things that happen in the spirit realm. Right? But that is not the contents of my presentation. Now, what I'm saying here is, African people always talk about enemies. But if you ask them, who are your enemies? They will never, ever tell you. But go ask America. They will tell you their enemies. Go ask Europe. Go ask Russia, China, as an Asian nation. They will tell you their enemies. And they will tell you we are preparing for our enemies. We are building our military for our enemies. We are building our nuclear weapon for our enemies, for any threat. But Africa, the only military base that we can build is churches. African people have churches all around. That is their military bases. And then their military are people who go to this theological school and become pastor, deacon, deaconess. Oh man, come and see all these degrees, all these titles, deacon, deaconess, clergies, this, that, that. That is the. And then when something happens, the first thing, let us go pray. So that the Lord can come in. The devil is busy. The devil is this. But look at Israel. Even though that is not an Israel of the Bible, that is not a biblical Israel. But did you see the people? Because most of you Africans believe again that is the Israel in the Bible. But that Israel was found in 1948. That Israel, they are European who came from Europe. They are thieves. The people are in Israel right now, they are thieves. They are devil. They went down there, they killed the people of that land, drove the people of that land away, and they settled there. And then they claim to be the people. They are thieves, they are devil, they are killer. But let me put it this way. Most of you believe they are the people, the biblical people, Israelites of the Bible. Why didn't they pray, fast and pray? But they are using modern weapons. Do you know that Israel have a nuclear weapons? They are using modern weapons to kill Palestinians, to kill people from Gaza, loot and bomb. Are they praying? Are they fasting? Are they bending their head down? Are they going to churches, to mosques? But African people, the only military base they have is churches, are churches and mosques all around. People can't even sleep. Go to Africa, you can't sleep. Go to Africa, you can't do nothing. Churches all around. Oh la 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 la. Oh la 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 la. Oh, the devil is a liar. Oh, blah 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 nonsense. Oh, let us pray. Let us pray so that Lord can intervene. Let us pray so that Lord can this, that, 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 that. Even in the Bible, the fourth war. Did they go to Jesus Christ, or did they go to any mountain or hill to say they pray? No, they use war at that time. Every weapon, whatsoever weapon at that time, they use it and they fought. In the Bible, why didn't they go to the church and pray and fast and pray? But they fought. There are evidence upon evidence in the Bible. People fought physically. War. There are places in the Bible they fought war. They got enemies. And those enemies were not something from the sea. No, they were human beings that they call enemies. And in fact, in the Bible, when the Bible talk about enemies, it was another human being. When the Bible talk about telling the Israelites, you will go into Egypt again, this time with ship, and into Egypt you'll be sold to your enemies. So, when they're talking about enemy, they're talking about human being. And that's the issue of the African people. And that's why we find it hard to understand who our enemies are and how can we get together, mobilize, and fight our own common battle. We always listen to the enemies to go against each other. Yeah, France is an enemy in this perspective, because France took part in the colonization and enslavement of African people. And up to now, our independence means threat to them. That means they are enemies. You allow France to call you Tinubu. You allow France to call you Tinubu to go to Benin to stop coup. When the people were fighting for freedom. Let's see here. Let's see something here quick. So you see what happened, right? After they did that in Benin Republic, the Nigerian government had the audacity to go to Burkina Faso to go through her military might. But she got caught. When she got caught, then she said, oh, we went to Burkina Faso because we were going to Portugal. We have an issue in Portugal, and then we have the flight issues, and then we landed in Burkina Faso. All those BS. You know, news reaching us, or news that we have found, is that the Portuguese government have denied the allegation that the Nigerian Air Force was en route to Portugal. Yeah. Since when we Nigerian people got to know that Nigeria have Air Force? Since when have the Air Force, the Air Force of Nigeria ever use their own plane in their own Air Force to travel around the world, to go to Europe? Since when have they done that? Since when have they used the Air Force to go to Europe? When these so-called Africans, so-called Nigerian president, when Tinubu traveling, do he go with Air Force? When he come into America, do Tinubu go with Air Force? When he go into France, do Tinubu go with Air Force? When he go to Europe, do Tinubu go with Air Force? But we understand the American government traveling, they go with the Air Force. They go with Air Force. The British government or prime minister who said they go with the Air Force. But Nigeria, you have never used the Air Force. So Air Force going to Portugal, it was not the Nigerian government that was going. It was not the Nigerian president that was going. All of a sudden, the Nigerian Air Force now going to Portugal. Meanwhile, when they are traveling, coming for their so-called US-Africa Summit, their so-called Europe-Africa Summit, their so-called Russia-Africa Summit, their so-called Japan-Africa Summit, they don't travel with Air Force. They get in these private jets. They go. To the extent, we did not know Nigeria has an Air Force because Boko Haram is killing Nigeria left and right. But they cannot use this Air Force to go and destroy, to go and put biscuit. When I say biscuit, I mean bomb. To go and put biscuit and Boko Haram and bomb them and kill them. They don't do it. But they were able to use their Air Force in Benin. And then after that, they want to go to Burkina Faso to go infiltrate the people's system, to go get information. Then they went and over the people's airspace. They try to use that opportunity. You see how dumb and stupid some of these African leaders are? Go and infiltrate the people's system to get information, to give it to Europe, to give it to France. When the United States government have tried so many times telling Abraham Tiwari, we want to bring our military so that we can come and train our military along with your military so that we can know your tactics. And Abraham Tiwari said, no. We do not need your military because we are using coal. And the coal that we are using is only for the Burkinabes or the AES. Foreign military cannot know our coal. We do not know the coal of the US. Why would the US want to know our coal? So now they thought it wise to use this opportunity. I believe. Let me put it that way. I believe. We know who we are talking about, right? So sometimes, yeah, for the safety of our platform. I believe. But we're going to listen to Abraham Tiwari. We're going to listen to him. This is a WCC. We bring it, we make it clear. I believe they wanted to use this time to infiltrate and get information and then give it to the enemies of Burkina Faso. Give it to the enemies of Mali. Give it to the enemies of Niger. Because the enemies of the AES have tried to understand how are these people succeeding. How are these people fighting the terrorists? How are these people fighting the terrorists and succeeding. So the enemies of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso want to know, but they can't because they are not around. And that is what happens when you allow your enemy to come in your space. Your enemies understand everything about you. But when you do not give space to your enemy will never know about you. They will use people around you to get the information about you. And that's what they try to do to Nigeria, I believe. Let me use that word. We are using a platform for the safety of our platform, I believe. Let's continue.
All right, in another development, tension may have erupted between Nigeria and Burkina Faso following conflicting accounts of a cautionary landing of a Nigerian Air Force C-130 aircraft in Bobo Dioulasso yesterday. Now, while the Nigerian Air Force says the crew diverted due to a technical concern and received cordial treatment from host authorities, Burkina Faso's military regime in a nationwide broadcast condemned the incident as a violation of AES airspace and confirmed it has detained 11 Nigerian military personnel. The Burkinabe authorities, speaking under the Alliance of Sahel States, alleged that the Nigerian aircraft entered its restricted airspace without authorization after its transponder went off, causing the aircraft to disappear from regional radar systems. The regime says its forces responded in line with AES security directives, forcing the plane to land and taking all personnel on board into custody. They warned that any unauthorized aircraft violating AES airspace will be neutralized. This sharply contradicts the Nigerian Air Force's earlier statement, which maintained that the diversion was a routine safety response after the crew detected a technical issue shortly after takeoff from Lagos. According to the NAF, the aircraft made a precautionary landing in Burkina Faso in full compliance with aviation procedures, and the crew was safe and treated professionally by local authorities.
Now, on this platform, right, we try to be fair. We don't do propaganda here. There's a reason I brought that video so that you can get the side of what the Nigerian government says, right? What the Nigerian army or personnel says. Oh my God. Africa. It is sad, man. It is sad. Oh man. It's sad. All right, now let us listen to Abraham Traoré, because I didn't just want to play this, right? Just play Abraham Traoré and then not bring in the view of the other side. So that's what they said. It was an emergency landing because the flight had issues, so they wanted to land that, right? But listen, what is the distance from Benin Republic to Burkina Faso? So before they pick up, did they check the plane? Did they check the plane before they pick up? Or did they call the Burkinabe aviation to tell them, hey, we want to land. We have plane issue. There's a blah, 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 blah. But they went there just to get information. Because it's like they wanted to use this opportunity. Because earlier on, I read the first article where the French government agreed or acknowledged or testified that they actually negotiated with the Nigerian government, right? To use their air force to go to Benin. I want to believe part of that conversation, part of that negotiation, it was also used. They were also directed. You know what? We can use this opportunity now for you guys to go to Burkina Faso, to go and get information. So it was a test to Burkina Faso. It was a test to the AES. Because these people have been trying so hard. Because, mind you, these are people who have been trying. through the support of other international, how they call it, partners, to unalive Burkina Faso. These people have carried on coup upon coup. These are people who have paid money to assassinate Abraham Traoré. It never worked. These are people who have given money even to the Burkinabe military. These are people who are giving money even to the closest man to Abraham Traoré to kill Abraham Traoré. And all have failed. This is the very first time on the African continent for an African leader to have numerous of coup attempts, and it never happened, and all backfire. To the extent, it is the very first time for such money, millions of dollars, to be spent just to unalive an African leader, and it never happened. The very first time. So these Westerners are so concerned, like, what is happening? I believe they use Nigeria to say, you know what, we can use the opportunity at this time to throw one stone and get multiple birds. So I believe, let me use that one. I believe they use the opportunity to say, you know what, we can use this opportunity, get to Burkina Faso and get the information and see what's going on. Let's listen to Abraham Traoré. Because Nigeria said they have aircraft issue, right? That's why they landed there. They didn't go there for anything. But listen to what Abraham Traoré said. Directly, I got this directly from the state-owned media, all right, platform. Listen to this. We get the information. They come to us. But we'll not tell you how we get it.
The release of the 11 Nigerian troops should have closed the chapter. Instead, it opened a far more unsettling one. Their aircraft entered Burkina Faso's airspace without authorization.
Now, folks, I'm going to allow Abraham Traoré to speak, right? But you listen to the first thing he said. The release of the 11 Nigerian soldiers, we thought, listen to the English, we thought that was going to close, or that was going to end, this whole situation. It's deeper than what you think, folks. We thought the release of the 11 soldiers, we thought the release of the 11 soldiers of Nigeria, we thought it was going to close the chapter. We thought that was just it. We thought, oh, the plane, they landed, it was an emergency landing because the plane had problem. There's a lot of things to that statement. We thought that was going to close the chapter, but that was not the case. Folks, something was in our plane. Like we said, these people went to Burkina Faso to get information. You see, look, we Africans, we are the problem. We understand why the Sahel nations are fighting for up to this time now. This Nigerian government, this Nigerian authority. But now you people should understand what is going on in our region. When you heard what Abraham Traoré said, we thought by releasing the 11 soldiers was the end, was going to close the chapter. So, folks, what happened here is they released the 11 soldiers, but they did not release the aircraft. The aircraft left back there to examine the aircraft. to investigate the aircraft. So what happened here is there were a lot of things found in that aircraft. There were a lot of information found in that aircraft. That's why he said we thought about releasing the 11 men that was up to it. We thought about releasing the 11 soldiers diplomatically that was up to it. We thought that the plane landed because the plane had a malfunction issue. We thought that was it. No, but after we investigate, through our investigation, our examination, we found deeper things than what you think. They say that the plane have. There was a reason I played that first video so that it can't be that, oh, no, Nigerians said the plane have function issue. That's why they landed. There was a reason I played so that you can see, understand what the Nigerian people say, and now what the Burkina Faso people say. Burkina Faso was not out for any confrontation with Nigeria. Burkina Faso see Nigeria as Africans. They see Nigerian as just African period. They do not believe in this colonial Bola issue. No, we are Burkina Faso. No, they do not believe. We are Africans. These Bola were Bola drawn by the same enemies. So what he did in no time, they released the 11 soldiers over to Nigeria. But as any nation will do, they have to investigate the plane. They have to search the plane. Folks, a lot of things were found in our plane. That's why he said we thought by releasing the 11 men, that was going to close the chapter. But that was not to it, folks. The Nigerian government went in Burkina Faso to infiltrate the people government to get information to send it to France. I want to believe. Let me use it for the sake of our platform. But Abraham Traore will speak for himself and you will understand what's going on here.
The release of the 11 Nigerian troops should have closed the chapter. Instead, it opened a far more unsettling one. Their aircraft entered Burkina Faso's airspace without authorization, landed under opaque circumstances, and triggered an immediate military lockdown across the capital. For a region already strained by fractures between ECOWAS and the Sahel states, the timing could not have been more dangerous. Officials later described the landing as a technical emergency, yet military analysts quickly pointed to inconsistencies in the flight path, the troop manifest, and the silence that followed the incident. Inside Burkina Faso's security circles, the key question was never why the plane malfunctioned. It was why it appeared where it did, carrying soldiers whose mission remained unclear. Releasing the troops was not a sign of weakness, it was a strategic decision made after a rapid intelligence assessment and a message to every external power watching West Africa's new alignment take shape. The soldiers returned home, but the doubts, the suspicions, and the geopolitical ripples stayed behind. And those ripples are now shaping the real story. I speak to you today because the incident involving the 11 Nigerian troops did not appear out of nowhere. In our region, nothing happens without a chain of actions beneath the surface. When that military aircraft entered our airspace without authorization, every alarm we had built for the protection of our sovereignty activated at once. As president, I do not have the luxury of assuming good intentions. I must defend the integrity of our land, our people, and our future. When my commanders informed me that the plane had landed in Ouagadougou, I asked one question. Are we dealing with an accident or a mission that was never declared? That question shaped every decision that followed. The soldiers were detained, questioned, and assessed. Not because we sought confrontation, but because Burkina Faso has reached a point where we allow no room for uncertainty. The Sahel is under pressure from every direction. Any mistake can open the door to destabilization. People outside our borders saw the release of the troops as the end of the matter. They were wrong. What happened inside our operations room was far more revealing.
Throw it as hard as you want. Go on. Watching it zip away feels like it might just keep going, right? Nope. Here.
The inconsistencies in the flight report.
So you heard Abraham Traore. What they saw was more revealing beyond their expectation. So it was not because plane had malfunction or the plane had issue, the plane had this. No. So you Nigerian bloggers, please do your research properly. We understand you want to get money, but do it right. And not just Nigerian bloggers. If you are carrying an African story, do it right. Because this is a fight. We're not here to play fun. You heard what he said. What they found in the plane was more revealing It was not about no damn plane had a malfunction. After they sent the 11 men, because what they did, the plane left behind for inspection. And then they released the 11 men and said, okay, you guys can go back. You can go to your nation and go and fight Boko Haram. Now you succeeded in stopping the freedom of the people of Benin. You succeeded. Because you want to save a dictator. You succeeded. No problem. Go back to Nigeria and go and fight Boko Haram that is destroying and killing your people, that is beheading your people, that is pregnating a teenager, getting them pregnant in the forest. Go and fight those people. So we will release you. Go and fight them. Go and fight for your people. We don't have time keeping you here. We don't want to keep you as prisoners of war. As far as we are concerned, you are not a prisoner. You are not enemy to us. You are Africans. So we believe Africans should fight for Africans to protect the people who are not in uniform, who are not military. So go back to Nigeria. Say you are a military man. Say you are brave, you are strong. Go back to Nigeria and fight Boko Haram to protect your people, because your people are dying, your people are being beheaded, your people are homeless because of Boko Haram. Your children, your grandchildren are being kidnapped, and they get them pregnant and then leave them to go in the butchers. So go and fight. You are not our enemies. You are not our problem. Go and fight those people. Say you went in Benin to fight for one man who is a dictator to France, who is a dictator in Benin because of France, and treating his people. No problem. You succeeded. Go back to Nigeria. Go and fight Boko Haram. We will not keep you here as prisoner. You are not prisoner. We are not in war with Nigeria. However, we will inspect the plane to make sure that your plane landed here and you said it was because of malfunctioning or the plane have issue. Now, the Burkinabe use their own engineer to examine the plane first of all. If the plane actually have malfunction. Abraham Tuari said, no, it was more revealing that it was for different thing. There was no malfunction issue. There was something foreign in that plane, which of course, being a military government, he's not going to explain everything. But you will understand. Let's move on.
The unusual route, the silence from those who should have informed us ahead of time. These details forced us to treat the event as a potential breach rather than a simple malfunction. We needed clarity before we allowed anyone to return home. Some will say we acted aggressively. I say we acted responsibly. Burkina Faso has been targeted before by hidden agendas, by unannounced flights, by intelligence operations masked as humanitarian movements. I carry the memory of every incident that cost our soldiers their lives. I will not repeat the errors of past governments that trusted the wrong forces and paid in blood. Releasing the troops was not an act of softness. It was a decision grounded in the information we gathered and the stability we intend to maintain within the Sahel Alliance. We showed that we will respond firmly when our sovereignty is breached, yet we will also choose diplomacy when the truth clears the fog. But let me be clear to every neighbor and every power watching. Burkina Faso will question anything that threatens our security. We will challenge anyone who tests our borders, and we will respond with unity, discipline, and conviction. Because this incident was only the beginning of a larger game unfolding around us, and I intend to expose that game piece by piece. When the plane touched down without clearance, it was not the aircraft that concerned me most. It was the silence that followed. In West Africa, silence is rarely accidental. It usually signals hesitation, confusion, or an attempt to hide intent. For several hours, neither Abuja nor ECOWAS provided a clear explanation for the presence of their troops on Burkinabe soil. That silence told me something was unfolding behind closed doors, and it was my responsibility to understand what. Inside our command center, every detail was placed under scrutiny. The flight's path did not match the official story. The communication logs showed irregular pauses. Even the state of the aircraft raised questions about...
Now, you heard what he said. The flight, right, that they say have malfunction, no, it did not match the official story. You heard it. Let's continue. There are a lot of things. But like I said, he's He's explaining so that you can know. But again, he's not going to bring out everything. You understand that now, of course.
Whether the malfunction was genuine or used as a cover. I told my generals that Burkina Faso would not accept narratives that do not align with the facts. We have survived too much deception to return to blind trust. During the questioning of the 11 troops, my priority was not to humiliate them nor to create conflict with Nigeria. It was to establish clarity in a region where misinformation is often deployed as a weapon. The soldiers appeared disciplined, but unsure of how much they were permitted to reveal. That alone signaled that the mission carried layers beyond what was shared publicly. I will not disclose every detail of what was learned, not because I fear consequences, but because national security demands discretion. Yet I can say this: there were elements that did not align with a simple emergency landing, and that knowledge shaped how we responded. Our decision to release the troops came after 3 strategic considerations. First, escalating the situation would have opened the door for ECOWAS actors who are waiting for any excuse to paint Burkina Faso as unstable. Second, the Sahel Alliance values predictable cooperation within the region, even when tension arises. Third, we had already achieved what mattered most. We asserted our sovereignty and made it clear that no military force enters our territory without explanation. I chose to release the soldiers because Burkina Faso had already won the most important battle. We demonstrated discipline, intelligence, and control. We showed Africa that the new Sahel does not panic, does not bow, and does not react blindly. But we also uncovered signals that this incident is part of a wider pattern, a pattern that threatens the balance of power in West Africa. And now that pattern must be addressed. In the days following the release of the 11 Nigerian troops, many asked why Burkina Faso reacted so decisively. They forget that our nation stands at the center of a silent contest for influence in the Sahel. Every move on our soil is watched, interpreted, and measured by actors who want to shape West Africa's future without ever stepping into the light. This is why I say the incident was not an isolated mistake, it was a test. Someone wanted to see how far Burkina Faso would allow its sovereignty to be stretched. The pattern has been clear for months: flights skirting close to restricted airspace, intelligence reports showing unusual coordination between foreign operatives and regional political actors, statements from ECOWAS hinting at pressure that does not match their public diplomacy. These signals form a chain, and the unauthorized landing fit neatly into that chain. I knew it the moment my commanders informed me of the aircraft's registration. What concerned me most was not the soldiers on board, but the possibility that their presence was designed to collect information or assess our readiness. Nations have used such tactics for decades. A so-called emergency landing becomes a convenient cover for observing responses, testing defenses, or measuring political unity. Burkina Faso cannot afford to ignore these possibilities, especially when our enemies hope for even the smallest crack in our resolve. Inside Nigeria, there are factions pushing for alignment with foreign interests that oppose the Sahel Alliance. I do not blame the Nigerian people. They are our brothers. I speak of political forces who still cling to the idea that West Africa must remain dependent, divided, and vulnerable. These groups know that a united Sahel challenges their influence, so they watch us, they probe us, they wait for weaknesses. This is why our response was disciplined. We acted firmly, but not recklessly. We allowed no chaos, no panic, and no emotional reaction. My intention was simple. Burkina Faso must show that it is no longer a weak state that can be manipulated or intimidated. Every move must reflect strength and clarity. The release of the soldiers was not a sign that the matter was closed. It was a signal to the world that Burkina Faso sees the broader game in motion. What landed on our soil was not just a plane, it was a message, and now the Sahel must respond with unity. As the days passed, many external observers claimed that Burkina Faso overreacted. They speak as if they understand the dangers we face. They do not. They do not live with the memory of villages burned by insurgent groups armed by foreign interests. They do not carry the responsibility of protecting a nation that has survived waves of destabilization. Those who judge us from afar forget that Burkina Faso stands on a front line they helped create. When we evaluated the incident, I asked my security chiefs to trace every movement of the aircraft before it entered our airspace. What they found strengthened our concerns. The flight had deviated from its stated route, communication gaps appeared at critical points, the timing aligned with intelligence alerts we had received about increased surveillance attempts on Sahel Alliance military readiness. None of this could be dismissed as coincidence. Inside ECOWAS, there are leaders who still believe the Sahel countries must return to the old order. They struggle to accept that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have chosen a new path based on sovereignty, dignity, and regional independence. To them, any opportunity to pressure us is useful. A sudden landing, an unclear mission, or a diplomatic misunderstanding becomes a tool for narrative warfare. I am not blind to this game, and I refuse to let Burkina Faso become a pawn again. Our people have changed. They no longer accept leaders who bow their heads while foreign soldiers cross our borders without explanation. They expect us to defend this land with courage and discipline. That is why our reaction was firm. It was not aimed at Nigeria as a nation. It was aimed at the forces that benefit from confusion and weakness. We will not give them that satisfaction. Diplomacy required that we release the 11 soldiers once the questioning ended and our intelligence evaluation was complete. But strength required that we send a message through our actions. Burkina Faso will not tolerate any operation that undermines our sovereignty. Every incident will be examined. Every aircraft will be monitored. Every explanation will be verified, not accepted at face value. This event made one truth clear. The Sahel is entering a new phase of geopolitical confrontation. The alliances being built are not only military, but ideological. And as this confrontation deepens, our enemies will attempt more subtle moves to weaken our unity. The unauthorized landing was one such move. We recognized it, we responded, and we will remain vigilant. After the release of the 11 Nigerian troops, many assumed that Burkina Faso would simply return to routine operations. But I knew this incident would echo far beyond our borders. What happened was not just a question of sovereignty. It revealed the strategic vulnerabilities that outsiders hope to exploit. And it reminded me that every decision I take must serve one purpose: protecting the future of this nation. Inside our intelligence briefings, we discussed a scenario that concerns me more than any aircraft landing: the possibility that external actors are testing the unity of the Sahel Alliance. They know that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have built a new front against exploitation. They know our cooperation disrupts the old networks that benefited from our instability. A sudden, unexplained military presence on our soil could easily spark mistrust between partners if handled poorly. That was the real danger, not the soldiers, but the reaction that others hoped to provoke. I refuse to let anyone divide the Sahel. Our enemies rely on fragmentation. They rely on suspicion. They rely on the belief that African nations cannot trust one another. That belief is exactly what I intend to destroy. When we questioned the 11 soldiers, we did so with precision, not hostility. I wanted clarity, not escalation. And when we released them, it was a demonstration that Burkina Faso acts with discipline, not fear. Still, the incident exposed a deeper truth. West Africa is entering a period where diplomacy will be used as a mask for influence, military cooperation will be used as a cover for surveillance, humanitarian gestures will be used to disguise political pressure. I have seen these tactics before. They cost lives, they weaken nations. I will not allow them to return. Our people deserve a leadership that anticipates threats before they fully appear. That is why we are strengthening our air defenses, improving regional coordination, and building a security doctrine that protects our skies as firmly as our borders. No unauthorized aircraft should ever reach our soil again without immediate accountability. The release of the troops was not the end. It was a reminder that Burkina Faso must always be ready, ready to question, ready to analyze, ready to respond. Because in this new era of West African politics, the real battles begin long before a shot is fired. In the discussions that followed the incident, I heard many voices outside Burkina Faso insisting that our reaction created unnecessary tension. These are the same voices that stayed silent when our people were left alone to fight for their survival. They are quick to offer advice, but never responsibility. They speak of stability, yet their actions have often fueled the very instability they claim to oppose. This hypocrisy is why I no longer measure my decisions by the comfort of outsiders. I measure them by the safety of my people. The unauthorized landing forced us to confront a critical question. How prepared are we for unpredictable moves in a region where alliances shift overnight and foreign agendas operate behind polite diplomatic language? I told my commanders to treat this event as a live test of our national readiness. Our response needed to be fast, coordinated, and disciplined, and it was. That alone sent a clear signal across West Africa. Burkina Faso is no longer a soft target. During the investigation, one conclusion became undeniable. Someone wanted to observe how we would react under pressure. Someone hoped to identify divisions within our command structure. They wanted to see if the Sahel Alliance could be shaken by a surprise event. Their expectation was simple. They believed Burkina Faso would panic, argue, or fracture. Instead, they saw unity. They saw control. They saw a nation that has rebuilt its spine. Nigeria remains an important partner. But I cannot ignore that certain actors within the region exploit these relationships. They create confusion between states so they can shape outcomes without accountability. If we had responded carelessly, those actors would have used the incident to justify new interference. That trap failed. Our clarity denied them the narrative they hoped to construct. This experience strengthened my conviction that Burkina Faso must continue transforming its security posture. Our skies must be monitored with precision. Our intelligence networks must grow stronger. Our communication with allies must be direct and immediate. In the new geopolitical landscape of the Sahel, hesitation is a luxury we cannot afford. We released the 11 soldiers, but we did not release our vigilance. We remain alert, we remain prepared, and we remain determined to protect our nation against every force that underestimates our resolve. Because the most important battles today are not fought with bullets. They are fought with decisions, discipline, and unwavering commitment to sovereignty. After the release of the 11 troops, many believed the situation had reached its conclusion. They were mistaken. The event triggered a deeper review inside Burkina Faso, one that extended beyond a single aircraft or a single group of soldiers. I instructed our intelligence services to map every regional movement that occurred within the same 72-hour window. What they found confirmed what I have been warning about for months. West Africa is becoming the center of a quiet contest between those who want a free Sahel and those who fear the rise of sovereign African states. We noticed an increase in surveillance flights near our borders. We observed unusual coordination between external advisors and certain political circles within ECOWAS. We detected information campaigns online designed to portray the Sahel Alliance as reckless and unprepared. These are not random events. They are orchestrated steps intended to weaken confidence in our leadership and to create doubt in the minds of our own citizens. This is why I say the aircraft was not the real threat. The real threat is the network of influence that hopes to slow our progress. A Sahel that governs itself frightens those who profited from our past divisions. A Sahel that builds independent security systems challenges those who benefited from our dependence. And a Sahel that unites politically forces the old powers to recheck their assumptions about Africa's future. I refuse to let Burkina Faso become the entry point for destabilization. Our people have suffered enough from policies made in distant capitals that never carried the weight of our reality. If the world wants to understand why we react firmly, they must understand our history. We have buried too many citizens to take any breach lightly. Our response is shaped not by fear, but by memory. What happened with the 11 troops also reminded me of the responsibility we carry within the Sahel Alliance. Our actions signal how far we are willing to go to protect our sovereignty. They shape the confidence of our partners in Mali and Niger. And they show the youth of Africa that leadership is not measured by how often we bow, but by how consistently we stand. This incident may fade from the headlines, but it will remain in my calculations.
You think you know David's story. A boy who became...
It sharpened our awareness, it strengthened our unity, and it marked a turning point in the struggle for Africa's self-determination. The story did not end when the soldiers left. It ended when we proved that Burkina Faso cannot be tested without consequence. As I reflect on the incident, I understand that many people outside our borders still underestimate the scale of transformation taking place in the Sahel. They look at Burkina Faso as it was years ago, not as it stands today. They expect hesitation, confusion, or disunity. But the new Burkina Faso is driven by a clear purpose. We protect our independence with discipline, and we confront strategic threats with clarity. The unauthorized landing forced the world to see this new posture, whether they were ready or not. The release of the 11 troops was only the visible part of our response. The deeper work happened behind closed doors. We strengthened our chain of command. We reviewed our air surveillance protocols. We increased cooperation with our partners in Mali and Niger. We upgraded the communication systems that alert us to possible infiltrations. These measures were not designed for a single incident. They were designed for the new geopolitical environment rising across the Sahel. I know that some actors hoped this event would shake our internal confidence. They believed a surprise landing would expose weaknesses or divisions. Instead, they witnessed something they did not expect. They saw a nation that responds rapidly, evaluates calmly, and decides with purpose. They saw a military that no longer waits for instruction from foreign advisors. They saw intelligence services that think independently and refuse to be misled by surface explanations. This is the Burkina Faso I have been working to build, a nation that understands the cost of past vulnerabilities and refuses to repeat them. Our people have endured years of conflict. They have carried the weight of decisions made by leaders who traded sovereignty for comfort. Today, we choose a different path. A harder path, but a dignified one. The 11 soldiers were never the enemy. The real challenge is the strategy behind the incident, the calculations hidden beneath diplomatic language, and the efforts to measure our readiness. I want every foreign power to understand this. Burkina Faso does not fear engagement, but we will not tolerate disrespect. We welcome cooperation, but we reject manipulation. We stand open to dialogue, but we will not kneel. This incident revealed who is watching us, who is testing us, and who is preparing for the next move. And it confirmed that Burkina Faso must remain alert, because in this new era, sovereignty is not defended once, it is defended every single day. The world will remember the release of the 11 Nigerian troops as a brief moment in regional news. But for Burkina Faso, it marked a turning point. It reminded us that vigilance is not a choice, it is a necessity for any nation that refuses to bow to external pressure. The Sahel has entered a new chapter, and every decision we make carries weight far beyond our borders. I want our people to understand this clearly. The strength we showed was not for a single day, it was for the future we are building. A future where no foreign force decides how we defend our land. A future where unity within the Sahel becomes a shield against manipulation and division. A future where Africa determines its own destiny. The soldiers returned home. The aircraft is gone, but the lesson remains. Burkina Faso will never again be caught unprepared. We stand ready, we stand disciplined, and we stand sovereign.
Show your
All right. So, yeah, you listening, right? That was Abraham Traore. So that's why I play the Nigerian version of the videos where they say they landed in Burkina Faso because of malfunction of the plane, because the plane has some issues, so they was forced to land. You know, that kind of fake news and stuff, right? So I brought it so you can see it and then bring, you know, Abraham Traore, what happened behind the scene things, right? But again, he's a military man, and you know, he's the president. He's not a cool leader, okay? He's not a cool president, you know, he's a military man, but he is the president. That's the kind of democracy I mean, folks, listen. This is the kind of democracy we want in Africa. You see how this man communicates to his people? You see how he lay information? You see how he care about his people? That is democracy. Democracy is not defined by the West to come and tell you how you should care for your people, how you should govern for your people. You understand what your people need. You understand what you need to do as a government for your people, for your nation. Democracy is not coming overseas for medical checkup by government official. Why your people suffer and die in poverty? So when your people want to go to the hospital, where do they go? Pregnant women, where they go? To give safe delivery. That is not democracy. Democracy is not having diplomatic meeting. You are having diplomatic meeting about 4 or 5 times a year. 20 times a year by overseas officials. That is not democracy. And then when you're sick, you travel to France and Europe, to America for treatment. Yes, you can afford it, but your people cannot afford it. That is not democracy. That is why I keep saying we have to defend democracy. And it's very easy to defend democracy. Not a Western form of democracy to say democracy is by the people, for the people, of the people, by the... No, that's a bullshit of a definition for democracy. So we understand what democracy entails, what it is for. And we understand the function of a democracy. The function of democracy, folks, is not about having periodic election. Democracy is not about having periodic election. Every 4 years, if that is a term limit, presidency limit in your country. Every 6 years, if that's a term limit in your country. That is not democracy. Because as far as we know, in most African countries, or almost in every African country, elections are never fair. Elections are always rigged. Elections are always one-sided. The people vote are not fairly count. As we saw recently in Guinea-Bissau, the people vote did not come to reality. When the government saw that the opposition actually won the election, what happened? Foreign power infiltrated it and it staged a coup. That is not democracy. Democracy is not America deciding. Democracy is not by you having a delegate from America, observer for America to come and observe your election. In the US, have the US sent for any observer also? In fact, when the US election is going on, they close down everything. Communication system, they close everything. They monitor every communication coming within the country. Because they understand. But you see, in Africa, we send for America to come and have an observer. We send for Europe. We send for European Union observer. They have to say we can't do things on our own. And that is what Abraham Touare is saying here. All these people come and infiltrate. All these people come with, because at the end of the day, these people want a government to come in power, for that government to be able to protect and safeguard the American foreign policy, the European foreign policy. It's not about you. All those observers are there to make sure whosoever that they favor win the election, so that that entity or that puppet or that dog of a president can continue the policy of Europe and America. As long as you dislike your people, they don't care. The only time Europe and America come in to talk against an African leader about the ill, then that means that leader is not actually in favor of American foreign policy or European foreign policy. That's the time you'll see the embassy coming out. And I've been saying this. Just because you have European or foreign embassy in your country, look, it is the government of that country in your country, the president of that country in your country. So they are there to protect the constitution of their country in your country. They are there to protect their policy, all right, in their country, in your country. It is not about you. They value their constitution over your constitution. That is why the soil where their embassy are, they don't see that place as Liberia, for example. Whatsoever their embassy are, they don't see it as Ghana. They don't see it as Nigeria. They see where their embassy is, they see it as a German, how they call it, ground. They see it as French territory. They see it as British territory. They don't see it as Liberia. So whatsoever their embassy are, that embassy represents the nation, the constitution. That embassy represents the people, where they come from. So anything they do is in line of the country, because it is their country that is paying them, not you, not your government. Their paycheck is coming from the country that they are representing in your country. So they value their constitution over your constitution, even though you think they live in Liberia. But that particular premises or that ground that they own, that they have their building, that ground is not Liberia. That ground is the United States of America. That ground is the ground of the English, if you want to put it that way. The Queen, that ground is the Queen land. That ground is the Queen land. That ground is the French people land. So the French constitution protects the jurisdiction of that land that you gave them. They are not under the constitution of the Republic of Liberia, or they are not under the constitution of any nation in Africa. They are not being protected by your army. They are being protected by the army to which they come from, the country they come from. So, you know, sometimes it baffles me when I see African people, sometimes Liberia, let me put this, Liberian people say, we are calling all the international community, we are calling all the international partners, our government are doing that. People they don't care about, they are not in your country to listen to your government, how your government treats you, how you want for your government to treat you. Let me tell you this, the United States can never function in any African nation without the African leader being corrupt. I know it's hard to digest. It is hard to understand. You will not believe that, right? All these European nations, they can never, ever function in Africa if that African leader is not corrupt. That African leader will never be their friend. They will make sure and take down that African leader. Because look, these Europeans, these Westerners, they want a leader that they can manipulate. If they cannot manipulate you for their interest, they are not manipulating you because they want you to serve the interest of your people. No. They want, look, these people, they are very manipulative. They want they want a leader that they can manipulate. Period. They want a leader that they can manipulate. If they cannot manipulate your leader, they're going to make sure to run propaganda against that leader. Now, what they're going to do is, if they cannot manipulate your leader, they're going to find the opposition, the next strongest opposition, and they sponsor that opposition. They make sure the mayor of government look bad for that opposition to come in. So the US cannot function in Africa without any corrupt African leaders. That's how they function. Europe, never. If your leader is not corrupt, you are not American friend. You are not Europe. Don't matter what they be talking about. Oh, democracy. We believe in democracy. We believe in Europe. Don't matter it. It's all BS. They don't care for that. As long as it comes for their interest, their foreign policy, that's all they're about. So all those embassies you see in your country, those 20, 30, 40, 50 embassies you see in your country, they are not there for you. When you're ready, oh, international community come. We have to go to the American embassy, the European embassy, the German embassy, the Chinese embassy, or this embassy. Have you ever seen American people say, we have to go to the Liberian embassy? This is what the Liberian people are doing to us. Or have you ever seen Americans say, we are going to the Liberian embassy to go tell the Liberian government, this is what the American government is doing to us? Have you ever seen the Chinese people say, we are going to the Liberian embassy to tell the Liberian people, this is what the Chinese government is doing to us? This is what our government is doing to us? Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen anything they say, we need international community? Have you ever seen America say, we need international community to come? Have you ever seen American citizens protesting and say, we are calling on the international community. We are going to the Liberian embassy in Washington, D.C. or New York and give our petition to them and tell them this is what the American government is doing to us? Have you ever seen it? Have you gone to England and you see that happening? Have you ever seen it? Look, we have to supplement. For me, it really, really hurt me when I see Liberian calling on international community. I ask them, who are your international community? Who are you referring to as international community? There's no international community, folks. The name may exist, but it is not practical, though. It is not practical. The name exists, international community, yes, but it is not practical. It's not going to work for you. That's what I mean. It's not practical. It is only practical if that international community partner that you are calling, right? If what you are calling them for, it is something that is affecting them. Then they will come and work along with you to remove your government or to make your government look bad. But why would international community want to come to remove your government when that government in power that you are calling international community for, that government is protecting the same international community interests in your country? No. Maybe make it make sense, right? Why will America want to come and remove a government that you think is not providing the means and wants for you, but you are calling the US, but that government is protecting the interests of US policy? Why would the US want to run propaganda against that government? Sense. But anyway, let me not change it. You heard what Abraham Tuare said. Nigerian, don't go after Abraham Tuare. What you should be asking yourself is, why was Nigerian Air Force doing in Burkina Faso? What did you go to do in Benin? When you cannot use your Air Force to destroy and bomb Boko Haram here. Those are the things you need to be asking. Then getting angry on Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso was sitting home, minding their own business and doing nothing. What Nigerian Air Force go do in Burkina Faso? Burkina Faso did not put your army in prison. No, Burkina Faso said, listen, Nigeria needs you. Go and fight for Nigeria. Kill Boko Haram. Go and destroy Boko Haram, just how we are fighting the jihadi or the terrorists. Go and fight Boko Haram, because according to Scott Perry, Boko Haram are being supported by American taxpayer money through the USAID. So, in other words, Abraham Tuare sent the soldiers by to go and question the American government, to go and question American Congress. Why are you funding Boko Haram? Because according to Scott Perry, you are funding Boko Haram. Why are you funding Boko Haram? And Boko Haram is killing our people. Those are the things you should be asking. You should be telling your government. Then going against Abraham Tuare, an innocent man who is doing the right thing for his people. Let's continue. We have done and deal with that. Like I said, when this thing happened, you heard it on various platforms, right? On various media. This is WCC. Yeah? I love you guys. All right, let's continue. Now, the next one here is, we're going to Liberia now, right? You know, recently, folks, Liberia signed a medical deal with the United States. And that deal they signed, Liberia have 3 branches of government, just like the US, right? But the 3 branches of government are now functioning like the US, 3 branches of government. It is the executive branch that function in Liberia, especially currently under this current government. The legislature do not function under this current government. The judiciary do not function under this current government. And the constitution, the embodiment of our nation, the language of the nation, the baby of the nation, the protector of the nation, where people go and say, listen, let me check what the Constitution says. Where we get advice from. Let me seek advice from the Constitution. They do not function under this government of Joseph Boakai. Now, some of them may come and say, I'm preaching politics, right? Instead of them looking at what I'm saying and see reason in it, they are not going to do that. And that's the thing about Liberian. We don't think outside of the box, especially when we believe in something. I don't care how we hear something about that thing, whether it's bad or not. We don't care. What we believe, that's what we believe, and we don't care. But let me continue with this. The Liberian government signed a deal with the United States. Now, somebody may say, is it wrong to sign a deal with the US? No, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. But it is wrong if the deal that you're signing with the US is in danger of the Liberian people. That makes it wrong. If the deal you are signing, whether the US or not, but different person. But I'm using the US because this happened with the US and Liberia. So I'm being specific. It is not a bad thing to make a deal with the US. Like you heard Abraham Tuwara, what he said. We are making deal with partners who understand. Let it be fair. Let it be real. Right? As I can paraphrase it, you listen to it. But I put the link already. So it is not a bad thing to make a deal with the US. But what kind of deal are you making with the US? Is it in line of the safety of the Liberian people? Folks, the Liberian government went and signed a deal with the United States government. Now, the legislature, the judiciary, none of them know about this deal. The government went and signed a deal with the executive branch. Gave all her rights to the US. Gave all her rights to the US. What was that deal? This deal gave full right to the United States to access the medical data of the entire nation of Liberia. This deal gave full right to the US to access the medical database of every Liberian citizen, medical record of every Liberian citizen. In fact, the United States have right over it than the Liberian people. The United States can decide that, look, Liberia, you are not going to have access to your medical database, and that will be it. Because the Liberian government have sold her right to the US for how much dollar? Listen to this. $125 million for 5 years. We're going to do some math here, okay? We're going to go into it, but we're going to do some math here. You see how? Let's do this. For $125 million for 5 years, gave her medical database to the US for 5 years. Let's do some math here. 125 million divided by 5 years. Each year we get $25 million. Basically, the US is paying $25 million every year for 5 years for the Liberian people, for their database, medical database, to be turned over to the United States. 25 million. We're talking about a nation. 25 million every year. Now listen to this. What is the population of Liberia? We are 5 million plus, right? According to estimate. We might be 6 million, but let's go with estimate that they gave us. We are 5 million plus. Let's say we are 5 million, right? Now, divide the 25 million by 5 million people. Divide the 25 million by 5 million people, because listen to this. 125 million contract given to the US for 5 years. Now, divide the 125 million by 5 years. Each year will be 25 million. Now, 5 million people in a country. Divide the 25 million by 5 million. each citizen will be getting $5. Now, for 5 years, right? Divide the $5 by 5 years. That means every year, one Liberian citizen will get $1. Oh my God. No, this is funny, right? But let's see. Every year, the United States will give dollar to each Liberian citizens to access it. Your medical record. Oh God, what kind of government is this? Oh Lord. And these are the educated people though. The government, I mean, so educated people in our government. They are well educated. Well educated. They are, I mean, they know, they can read it. I mean, they are well educated. Right? So every year, the US gave dollar for each Liberian citizens so that the United States can access your medical data. And not just access, but they have full right to it. What that means is, listen to this. First of all, the United States is leaving the WHO, the World Health Organization, if they are not left yet, but they are leaving. They don't want to be part, right? Now, what the United States want to do is that, what the government of Liberia have done, the government of Liberia have made Liberia a guinea pig nation. What that means here is, the United States have access to the healthcare system of the Liberian people, then the Liberian government. The United States can dictate at any time because you are being bought. What this means is, Liberia as a nation will be used as guinea pig. What that means is, the United States will create her disease. Like how coronavirus was created. Don't fool yourself. Don't think coronavirus was created right in the US, in the United States. Coronavirus was created here. Okay? It was created here. And then it needed to be tested. These are research already. Go and do research. But I'm just telling you. Don't ask me how you know that. Because now, that's what most Liberians do. If you try to educate them, instead of them taking pen and paper and write down something, and then go and make follow-up, but it will come. How do you know that? How do you know that? That's being lazy. Coronavirus was created here, according to people. Let me put it that way. Okay, for the safety of our platform. All right. According to people, it was created here, Boston. Why it was created? Because the United States have bases all around the world, right? In Asia, they have United States Marine there. Mosquito biting them, killing them. And these are things you don't know about. But they're not coming to tell you. Go do research. All these things are there. So they came out with this virus, right? Created it so that they can take it in Asia there to inject the citizens. But they have to do some tests. So they needed to do a test on bat to see how it will be, what they call, right? But this bat, the United States have a bat here. Yeah, the United States have bat here, right? The same bat in China is the same bat in Asia there because they're the same place there. But they wanted to finish the whole stuff before they can take the vaccine there. So they didn't want to take it there to go try it, and then a leak there was going to kill the same marine, or going to kill them. So the bat they have here is not the same bat they have in Asia there, where the marine base is, the mosquito killing them. It's China that have the bat. So they decided to take this virus to China. That's why when it came out, they said, oh, China created coronavirus. It came from China. It came from China. Yes, it came from there because it started from there. But the virus was made here. And then take it because the bat they have here, it was different bat that it was the bat they have here, it did not have the same resistance or the same cells or muscle system as the one in Asia there, where the United States Marines are. It is the Chinese people that got it. And they did not want to carry it on us to go try it. So they took it to China to try it on a bat because it was still going through scientific process or processing. Which other way the water fit in, you can fit in and put it and move it. Don't ask me a question. Don't judge me. English is not my language. Now, I just learned it to apply it. But what happened here is it got leaked in China. It got leaked. And that's how it started raining there and it traveled. So the virus was made here. So, but the Liberian government giving a right to the US. The US can sit there and create her disease and create her virus, anything you think about. And the US will put it in Liberia. They will go to Liberia because your government have given your right to the US. They can go to Liberia and put out drugs in you and then say, we are giving you vaccine. And, let me go back. You see what they did in Kenya? Some years back, and we reported on it. That was 2012, 2013. But before 2012, 2013, Bill Gates have gone to Kenya. And that was what they did. And that's the same thing they're trying to do to Liberia. But with this, it's more sophisticated and it's going to be more dangerous than even what happened in Kenya. Because what happened in Kenya, it was not a deal that was signed by government, to say this, that. Bill Gates left from here and went to Kenya. And Bill Gates campaign is about depopulation, to depopulate the African continent, right? And depopulation comes in so many ways. Now, Bill Gates went to Kenya and then said he was putting polio vaccine in women ages 12 to 18. And then he said the vaccine he's giving her was polio vaccine, so that when you're pregnant, you don't have to take polio vaccine again. And then that vaccine will be in you to protect your unborn child. You stay 12 and they're giving you polio vaccine for something, pregnancy that will happen maybe after some 12 years. 12 years to come, pregnancy that will happen. But at 12 years, they're already giving you pregnancy treatment, polio vaccine. That's what they said. But not knowing that vaccine was not polio vaccine. It was a vaccine that would destroy the womb of this Kenyan female. So they put steroid in them that destroy their womb. So now, all these people that took the vaccine, they couldn't get birth. After years, some of them 10, 18, they couldn't get pregnant, 20, 25, they couldn't get pregnant. So 2012, 2013, the Kenyan women started protesting. And then it even came out that Jomo Kenyatta said, let one man have at least 3 wives, 4 wives, so that the Kenyan women can get birth. Because the Kenyan women, those that took that injection, that so-called fake polio vaccine that destroyed their womb, they did not know that the vaccine Bill Gates gave them that said polio vaccine, it destroyed their womb. They didn't know that. So they never knew. They start putting blame on their husband, on their certificate, all of that. They couldn't function. They were what they call, they did not get good sperm, they did not get good day, they did not get good day. So they couldn't get pregnant, they couldn't make them pregnant. It became an issue to the extent Jomo Kenyatta, the president at that time. No, not Jomo Kenyatta, but Kenyatta. What is his first name? His first name I can't get. Jomo Kenyatta was former president. By the way, his name is there. So he went on air to say, let a Kenyan man have at least 2 to 3 wives so that they can impregnate or they can impregnate these women so that they can get birth. Now I knew that was not the case. Bill Gates had destroyed them with polio vaccine. He claimed it was polio vaccine and gave to them. Not only he was destroying their womb. What then happened here is it became a major concern. The Kenyan doctors, scientists, decided to run tests. So what they did, they kept it silent. All the people that was complaining that they couldn't get breath, right, that went to the hospital to check what happening, whether it's from them or from the men. When they go check, medical record proved that all those that took the vaccine that Bill Gates gave them, said polio vaccine, their womb were all destroyed. They couldn't get breath. All those that took the vaccine, all of them. And then when it started happening, people that took the vaccine, some of them start going out voluntarily to go for tests. And when they went, their womb destroyed. That's how they got to know that what a polio vaccine they were giving them through Bill Gates, it was something to depopulate them, to destroy the Kenyan women. And up to today, those people can't get breath. It's done, they are done. So Liberian, America can create her disease and come to Liberia and say, you know, this vaccine is for this, is for that, is for this, to prevent certain things whatsoever. But now knowing they are using it as guinea pig, they're putting disease in you. And then when they start doing things, then they come out with the antidotes to come and test it on you. To come and test it on you. So your government have given that right to the American people, to the American government, to the American, how to call it, medical institution whatsoever. Your government has given it to them, not knowing what is in it. So every year, in 5 years, America will come and give every Liberian citizens $, because it was signed for 5 years, and 125 million will be given to Liberia. Divide 125 million by 5 years, it will be 25 million. Divide 25 million by 5 million people, 5 million population. Each person will get $5. Divide $5 by 5 years, because the contract is for 5 years. That means each Liberian will get $5 per year. Now, at least you think you got some benefit. With the corruption of this government, with the Liberian government, with the Liberian people, that 5 million will go into the pocket of government officials. Now, don't think because I broke it down for you today, $, coming to you. No, that 5 million will go in a pocket of government official. Now, let's read something here. I'm just breaking it down so that you already know where we're going. Your birthright, everything has been given to the American government. Now, what you see on the screen there, right? I'm going to do a justice. Like I said, this is the VCC. We do justice, right? We do justice here for people to see. Now, this is the United States website. I think Monrovia, Liberia, their embassy, right? This is what they have there. And any human being, you go on their website, you read this, you will feel happy. And if anybody come and talk against this, you will even go against that person. But just because it looks nice and sweet, it sounds sweet here as you read it, that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, or that's the reality. America been in Liberia since 1822. You know, sometimes it's hard when you say these things, people be like, oh, America have been doing this, America have been doing this, America have been doing this. Since 1822, since 1847, the first African country so-called to become independent. Let me say this. Liberian, the stage Liberia is in, right? Before Liberia can get, if Liberia want to get to the stage Ghana is in, let me tell you that it's a reality. You can insult whatever you want to do. But the stage Ghana is in today, Ghana get independent 1957, March 6, 1957. And you so-called Liberia, you get your so-called independent in our Maserado there. 1847. From 1847 to 1957. Do you know how many decades, how many years in between them? But the U.S. been there. At that time, in the 1940s, the American Liberian Mining Company stealing and looting our resources, carrying it to Sweden, carrying it to America. They ain't build Liberia. They ain't do nothing. So when you say America has gained to Liberia, this, that, if I come to your country, I loot your resources, I take it to my country, I make billions of dollars out of it, and then come and give you 1 million. Am I giving to you actually, or you giving to me? No, you're not being frank here. Because we need to start asking some of these questions. When we say America gave, America did. So even the 125 million, people will say, oh yeah, you see the 125 million, America gave 125 million. Why are you saying this? Do you know what is behind that 125 million? Do you know what Liberia going to do? In reality, you actually did favor for America. You actually did America. Do you know them favor? You did favor for America. Don't look at that 25 million. That 25 million will not change Liberian life. That 25 million will not change Liberia. That 25 million will not do anything in Liberia. But it will change the politician life to some extent. But it will do nothing. But what it will do, America will benefit because it will make America to do more research in her medical institution and then sell her drugs to other nations using Liberia as guinea pig. And then allow 5 years. Do you know how many millions of dollars America is going to raise from giving $125 million to Liberia? Or like 5 years. Do you know what America is going to raise? God. Sometimes you need to put things into perspective. You need to put things in a formula and work it out. Put things in formula and work it out. Think outside of the box. If this happened, what would be this? What would be that? So the point I want to make here about Ghana and Liberia, the current stage of Ghana and the current stage of Liberia, if Liberia ever want to be like Ghana, right, in the next 10 years, every year, Liberia have to spend $50 to $20 billion every year in Liberia. I'm not talking about spending it on politicians. I mean spending it on every sector. Road, hospital, education. I mean everything you think about. Every year, Liberia had to spend $15 to $20 billion for the next 10 years before you can even be like the current Ghana. Then they talk about somebody can give you $125 million. You think that's plenty of money? When every year, to just for Liberia to be like the current stage of Ghana, because it is a shame to even be talking at this time as a Liberian, be talking about, look at how Ghana is built, look at how this. No, it is Ghana that's supposed to be saying, look at Liberia, how Liberia is built, how Liberia is dead. Because since 1847, Ghana just gained independence 1957, March 6. But look at Ghana today. Liberian government officials going to Ghana for medical treatment. I know you may want to say, oh, but before Ghana used to come to Liberia. No, but you allow the same slave master to use you and took war to Liberia. Yes, American man-made weapon was proliferating in Liberia. That we got evidence for that. Weapons used in Liberia was American-made weapons. You allow the same people to wage war in Liberia, use you. You allow the same educated people came to Washington, D.C. Telling Washington, D.C., we want to carry war to Liberia. Go do your research. United Nations. You see, that's why I don't respect the religious body in Liberia. And I will never. I've been saying this. The day I become president in Liberia. Yeah? Now your nonsense you can be talking about. And then president wanted or government official want, then they can't bring Bible. They can't pray. I pray at this, I take oath at this. No, it will not be Bible. We'll do it traditionally. We'll do the traditional one. Why you will take oath on the traditional one? If you make any mistake, do any corruption, the tradition will strike you to death. Turn on, lightning will come and strike you, and you die. We're not going to pray over Bible. We will not pray over Bible. Me, I'm married and I will do it. What do you mean, man? And I will do it. Now, don't tell me, say, oh, you don't believe in Bible. I read the Bible more than even you. I understand the Bible more than even you. People use the Bible to hide their deeds. Before that war took place in Liberia, this same so-called religious body, they were in Namibia. And they all advocated for the war to come in Liberia. The religious body, y'all go to your damn research then, man. Y'all do your research then. When really, the religious body was in Namibia. Along with this United States. Your UN, they were in Namibia. Your ECWA, they were in Namibia. Your AU, they were in Namibia. And they all agreed for war to come in Liberia. Why? Because Europe controlled the AU. Control the ECWA. You think it was about coincidence? You think that war you fought in Liberia, when you read it, Liberia fought civil war. Sometimes we don't want to talk because Liberia will not understand. Sometimes we just lead and let them talk, they speak their rubbish. This one, what I tell them, go and do proper research and you will understand. That war, there was a meeting held in Namibia for that war to take place in Liberia. It didn't just happen overnight. So yes, before Liberia can be like Ghana, right now, every year for the next 10 years, Liberia have to spend $15 to $20 billion every year. That is to tell you how messed up every sector in Liberia. That is to tell you how messed up every sector in Liberia is. Your healthcare system, your educational system, your road, I mean, everything. And that how they call it, $15 to $20 billion every year that you need to spend, it also go beyond human capacity. You need to develop your human capacity as well. If you have $15 to $20 billion that you can spend every year, then I will tell you, for the next 10 years, Liberia can be like current day Ghana. But if not, you lying to yourself. This government official will just go and sign deal and get small money and put in their pocket, send their children to school abroad and put the rest of the money up. So that $125 million is nothing. It goes right in politician pocket. But let's continue here. So see what the United States wrote on their embassy. It sounds very good. It sounds very sweet, right? Now, U.S. Department of State, look here. The United States Department of State, it sounds very good, though, right? It sounds very good, but it's bullshit. Delivering memorandum of the America First Global Health Strategy, right? Strategy with the signing of the United States Liberia Bilateral Health Cooperation Memorandum of Understanding. Bullshit MOU. Today, the United States and Liberia have achieved, and you see how they can read these nonsense things, these nonsense languages and things. Today, the United States and Liberia have achieved a historic milestone. Milestone. Can you imagine? So that means since 1847, this has been one of the most important. Oh my God. Anyway, let's read. Today, the United States and Liberia have achieved a historic milestone in advancing the America First Global Health Strategy by signing a 5-year bilateral health cooperation memorandum of understanding, MOU. It sounds good, though. It sounds very good, but it's bullshit. Let me say, how are you going to say BS? It's bullshit. Now, over the next 5 years and working with Congress, the United States in turn to provide up to 125 million in health assistance. We sound good. It sounds very good. It sounds good, right? Let's read. With health assistance. Who don't want assistance? Who don't want to be safe? With health assistance to Liberia, supporting critical areas such as HIV, right? Malaria, maternal and child health, and global health security. We sound good. If anybody read this, even maybe somebody who don't understand will be like, but friend, you stupid. What is in there that sound ugly? What is in there that sound dumb? What is in there that sound bullshit? But this is what the American people say. This is what Washington, D.C. said. We sound good. But there have been other deals that have been signed since 1847 that sound good, right? But have it manifested in Liberia. Liberia is one of the poorest countries in the world. Maybe in Africa, Liberia might be the 5th poorest country in Africa. Maybe the 5th or the 5th since 1847 we gained independence. Maybe Liberia might be, the 5th or the 10th poorest country in the world. If you count the 10th, then maybe I did well, sir. With the presence of America, our first ally, that people can say, the stepchild to the US, people can say. But let's continue here. In turn, Liberia will commit to increase its domestic health expenditure by almost 51 million to gradually assume greater financial and corporational responsibility for its domestic health system. Now let's do this. How can this happen? When Liberia, first of all, Liberia is not working, building on its own healthcare system. Just because you gave this memorandum, you gave your database or whatsoever, or the American government is giving $125 million to Liberia. Do you know how many $1 million you need just for healthcare system to transform the healthcare? And transforming the healthcare is not just about building. It's about training your people, sending your people overseas, first of all, to become good medical expert or doctor, and then send them back to the country. Do you know how many million you will spend in a human capacity development of Liberia? Then you're talking about you get 25 million for 5 years. Then you're talking about within our 5 years, Liberia will be able to do that and rest 50 million. All these sound nice, but folks, they are bullshit. If you put it into the equation, it's BS. Liberia will not even raise this amount. Liberia does not have even control of own healthcare system. In 5 years, you will do this. You know how many $1 million you need to transform the healthcare system of Liberia? Then you're talking about 125 million. This is a shame to the United States government. Based on the relationship between Liberia and the United States, this is a shame to the United States government. 25 million for 125 for 5 years. 125 million for 5 years. Shame on the United States government. I don't care. Do you know how many million the United States have taken from Liberia? Do you know what Liberia have done for the United States? Do you know how many minimal resources they have taken from Africa, from Liberia? Since the 1940s. They were taking our iron ore, our rubber. You know how many trillions of dollars the U.S. have taken? That $125 million is just part of our resources that they have taken. That $125 million is just part of the rubber that they have taken from Liberia since 1926. Since 1926. They've been taking out rubber from Liberia that they sell for 100 years, 99 years or so. That $125 million, it can't even shake the $1 trillion they have taken from Liberia just from rubber. And Liberian people are flumping it. Oh, yeah, America gave them. No. They steal from you. They came to your house and took, for example, $100 from you. And you don't even know that they took $100 from you. And then they turn around and can't give you $5 and say, you know what? Say somebody took your $100. We'll give you $5 so you can have food ready for you and your children to eat. And then you there happy dancing, praising me because I gave you $5. when I took your $100, this is what exactly the US have been doing to Liberia based on our ignorance. In return, Liberia will commit to increase its domestic health and expenditure by almost 51 million to gradually assume greater financial and how are we going to assume greater financial when we depend on people for aid? When we depend, that is the same issue here. When we depend, because this 125 million is going in Liberian government official pockets. It's not going to go into the healthcare system. And in fact, the $125 million is a peanut. It's a peanut to transform the healthcare system in Liberia. It's a peanut to transform the healthcare system in Liberia. What kind of educated people do we have in Liberia there? Liberia have demonstrated a remarkable progress over the past decade, including significant strides towards 95 goal for controlling HIV epidemic, reducing malaria. Look, let me take this from there. It really hurting me. It's spinning me. It's spinning me, folks. It's spinning me. I can't. It's hurting me. For real. I just gave you a scenario for Liberia to be like Ghana. For the next 10 years, Liberia have to spend $15 to $20 billion every year. Somebody may come and tell me, say, that lie, or that this. I mean, just roll. You know how many million of $1 billion you need to spend on road? In all counties, every street, every major, listen to this. Just major street in Liberia, in Monrovia itself. Do you know how many $1 billion you need to connect every street, every community in Monrovia? Just Monrovia alone. So don't come and say, how to call it, $15 to $20 billion, too much money. You know how many $1 billion you need just road to transform, to connect road in Monrovia itself? Do you know how many $1 billion you need in Monrovia? Just Monrovia. And then you go into the 15 counties. Do you know how many $1 billion you need to connect within a county? I'm not talking about going to the county in the first place. Within the counties to connect community and things. Do you know how many $1 billion you need? And then a nation that does not have road, forest, no road there. hills. Do you know how many $1 billion you need to connect roads to every various counties? To cut down tree and then hill split. Do you know how many $1 billion you need? You think we're just talking here? No, we have done our research. You need $15 to $20 billion every year to transform Liberia in the next 10 years. If you want to see Liberia like the current day Ghana. And then with the current day Ghana, if you want to make Liberia like that, within our next 10 years, Ghana, they're going to be more. Because Ghana, the stage is in, within the next 10 years, Ghana going to go far beyond. But just to make Liberia as the current state of Ghana, you need $15 to $20 billion every year to go into the economy. Every sector of Liberia. I know that may sound like something, right? Yes. We don't believe it, and that is why we continue to come to the US and sound peanut. When they say people exploit us of our resources, and then take the same money that they exploited from our resources, come and give us peanut, and then we start dancing. Hey. But let's continue here. Look at these slaves. Look at them acting like slave here, right? Look here, folks. Look here. After they sign a deal, see these Liberian government officials not even knowing what is in that thing, right? Look here. So you see that these are Liberian cabinet, government official, went and sat in a room to watch the minister, right, of health or whatsoever, signing this bad deal with the United States government, and then they sat there and they're all clapping their hands like slaves. Yay! Oh my God. Africa. How much is 125 million? How much? We are talking about a nation here. Do you know how many $1 million you need to transform just the healthcare system? Just the healthcare. $125 million, it can't even shake the healthcare system of Liberia. It can't shake. No, it can't even shake. It can't do nothing. $125 million, it can't do just the healthcare system of Liberia. It can't do nothing. And you sat here jubilating, clapping your hand, if to say you have done something great. But the reality here is you have given the Liberian people out as guinea pig for American scientists to go do their studies. When they see America is leaving the WHO, they are leaving WHO. They don't want to be part of WHO. And then you take your people, give them to them to use it as guinea pig. $125 million. Is that plenty of money to you? A whole country? Yeah. Baba. Oh, God. Liberia. Anyway, let me take this ayah. Let me take that out. Let's continue here. All right? Let's go ahead. So, let's see an article from a representative, from Liberia. Let's see what he said here. Because they themselves do not even know what is in that thing. All right? So, he's a representative from Nima County, Ta Wangwe. So, let's see what he said here. That's Ta Wangwe. So, he read something here. First, he acknowledged what was sound. Right? He acknowledged what was sound. Everything. He didn't say, oh, there's a... So let me just read part of what he said, right? Nima County Senator, Moravia, Liberia, right? Nima County District now representative. Ta Wangwe is calling for a full transparency and public disclosure of the US-Liberia $176 million deal health agreement, warning that the deal presents potential risks. He's one of the persons that actually bring this up. The deal presents potential risks to Liberia's sovereignty, data security, and legal compliance, if not thoroughly scrutinized. In a statement issued Wednesday, Representative Ta Wangwe welcomed the investment, all right? Welcomed the investment comprising of $125 million in direct U.S. support and nearly $51 million in required Liberia core financial. But I mean, Liberia not going to raise that. Let's just forget it. Yeah, I don't want to even read that. That's a bullshit. Liberia's not going to raise that. These corrupt people we have, Liberian government are corrupt people. They're not going to do that. So let's continue here. We warmly welcome this historic investment, according to him, right? Wangwe said. But partnership must never be. Let me read. But partnership must never mean blunt acceptance. Liberians deserve to know exactly what is in this new $176 million health agreement. Concern over data, privacy, and sovereignty. Wangwe warned that the agreement touches sensitive national area, including digital health system, electronic medical record, disease surveillance platform, and health data governance. At a time when Liberia lacked a comprehensive national data protection law, health data is not just numbers. It is national security, privacy, and dignity. So these things were not discussed by the House, but the Senate. But the executive branch just went ahead along with 8 cabinet members and gave this thing to the United States government for $125 million, and money that will go in a bucket of politicians to build their property, and use part of that money to pay their mortgages in Europe and America. Because the $25 million, the $125 million is a peanut just for the healthcare. Do you know how many billion dollars you need to transform the healthcare system of Liberia? You're talking about $1 billion. Just the healthcare system. You're talking about $1 billion. Now $125 million is a peanut. It's a peanut. Now, I'm going to take this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to take it out. Well, you understand what we're hearing now, right? Now, let me make a statement here. Let me correct something here quick before we move on, right? Let me make a statement here. Somebody going to say, but Kenya did the same thing. Why are the Kenyan people not angry? First of all, you're receiving $125 million for 5 years. Do you know how many billion dollar Kenya received? Kenya got $1.7 billion. Go do your research. You know, America always shit on Liberia. And this ignorant fool will say that I think America have done. No. America gave $1.7 billion to Kenya for these things. And now today, go see what happened in Kenya. The court, okay? But you, Liberian, your court have been compromised by the government. The government don't listen to the constitution. The government don't listen to the court. When the court rule, government said they're not listening. So before you talk about Kenya, first know how much Kenya got. Kenya got $1.7 billion for the same 5 years. Oh, Liberia, man, it's an interesting country. Kenya is the same way Liberia when they signed a deal, visa deal with America for 5 years. Nah, God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. For peanut. Now new, Ghana went and signed that same thing more than what they gave to Liberia for the same 5 years. That's the same thing that happened here. You go sign a deal with the US for $125 million for the same 5 years. Another country that is not even an ally, that is not even close to the US, okay, went and signed a deal with the US for $1.7 billion. Do you know how much 125 million can come from $1.7 billion? Just the $0.7 billion. $0.7 billion. Eh? But the issue here is, not that I'm in favor of the $1.7 billion they gave to Kenya, right? But what I want to tell you here is, before you be so excited about what happened, first of all, be asking questions. But we are the rightful ally to the US. We are the right people to the US. Some of you don't like to hear it, but Liberia is still a colony to the US. Okay? Some of you don't like to hear it. Go do your research. Go learn it. You are still a colony to the US. And we know what we're talking here. Okay? And we can defend that anytime. And we have tried that. We have tried out most platforms. Anybody who still want to debate me on those things, come. We are ready. But when you come in, I tell people, when you come in, there are key things. I always educate people who want to come to debate with me. I educate you how you come in. Make sure you understand what a colony is. Don't just jump on a car. Oh, Labrador independent 1847. We are not. No. Go and do your research and understand what a colony is. Go and do your research and understand how did, Liberia, that slave Bennie king, what they say, free slave. First understand how it came about. For me, I always say this, right? I want you prepare before you come. So when you do this research, maybe it might help you not to come to debate with me. You might see, you'll be, oh no, this boy is right. Because if you don't do these things and you come, you will make yourself shame. So I tell people, you want to debate with me when it comes to some of these things? Go and understand what a colony is. Not just that, go and understand how that migration about the free slave came about. And then, what was the purpose? Because some of you believe their mission was to create a place so that they can transport a free slave, blah, blah, blah. But I ask you, 1924, I already know these things, and I'm giving you date. People who lie, they will never give you date. They will just be talking. And just come to the scripture. People who think they know the scripture, they will never quote one scripture. But they'll all be saying, oh, the Bible said this, the Bible said it. But they will never quote a scripture to prove it. Me, I'm giving you date. So that when you do your research, you can use this date. That's how I do it, to make people prepare before you come to me. To make you understand, I know my research. If Liberia was created, there are a few questions I'll be asking you. If Liberia was created to carry free slave, as a place to carry free slave, the UNIA were they not free? 1924, why they ran it out of Liberia? Why they ran it out of Liberia? Why the United States government imprisoned Marco Garvey? Why the United States government sent messages in Liberia to stop the UNIA? For no UNIA delegate to go into Liberia. Do your research, because there are a lot of things you have to learn before you can debate with me. Me, I finished doing my own research. Maybe the only thing I left now is to write book. That's the only thing left. But I finished doing my research. To write book, maybe that's the next thing I'm supposed to, that's the next project, to just write book. But my research are done. So 1924, what happened? Go and learn these things and put a process together before you come and want to open your mouth to debate. Liberia is still a colony. Liberia is not a free nation. There is something called shame independent. That's the kind of independent we have, shame independent. Okay? Liberia was not created as a place to carry free slave. Their mission was different. Go and learn these things. Don't go do Google search. Now Google search will give you these things. But let's continue here. Okay? So, the same deal is for $125 million for 5 years. Kenya, Royal Ruto signed that same deal for $1.7 billion for the same 5 years. But then what happened now? It's in court in Kenya. Go do your research. I'm not going to show those things here because it's about Liberia, but I'm just telling you now, you go do your research, you see it. They are in court right now saying that they don't want it. That's not a good deal. To turn over your medical database to another country. Imagine $1.7 billion. And the court right now, they are in court. They are saying they don't want it. The government of Kenya, Ronald Ruto, should take it back. They don't want that deal. $1.7 billion. America gonna give you some kind of chicken change, pocket, peanuts. $125 million. And then you see Liberian government official clapping, happy. Meanwhile, another country somewhere, like Kenya, $1.7 billion was given to them. And now the court is saying, no, we got to protect our people. We got to protect the health of our people. We got to protect the interests of our people. There's a bad deal. Imagine. And they are saying, we don't want that $1.7 billion. But the U.S. gave $125 million to Liberia. While they gave $1.7 billion, hey, and Liberia are going to get that $1.7 billion, then a different story. Liberia are going to be 125 million. Then they take a plenty of money. Ah, boy. But Kenya got $1.7 billion for the same 5 years. America got your interest? No. Let's listen to the last video, and then we'll call it for a day.
The U.S. government just announced a shiny new $125 million memorandum of understanding with Liberia for health. The press release is full of uplifting language about leveraging momentum and a historic commitment. It all sounds wonderful, doesn't it? But let's take a deep breath and actually look at what this really is. Because when you peel back the layers of diplomatic jargon, you start to wonder if this is the game changer they claim it is, or just more of the same, wrapped in a prettier bow. First off, the big headline number, $125 million. That sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But here's the catch. This isn't new money. The official statement itself quietly admits that this move represents the planned U.S. government investment. Planned. This isn't a fresh check being cut. It is a formal declaration of what they were already intending to spend through existing programs like PEPFAR for HIV or AIDS, the President's Malaria Initiative, and other global health security funds. So, is it a historic new commitment, or is it just rebranding existing aid packages for a good photo op? It feels a lot like announcing you are going to keep paying your mortgage and calling it a bold new investment in housing. The move is supposed to run for 5 years. Let's do some simple math. 125 million divided by 5 years is $25 million per year. Now, consider Liberia's population of over 5 million people. That breaks down to less than $5 per person per year. Less than $5 to tackle HIV, malaria, maternal mortality, and build a resilient health system from the ground up. Can you really revolutionize a nation's healthcare for the price of a fancy cup of coffee per person? It seems a bit of a stretch, to put it mildly. The agreement talks a big game about accountability and Liberian ownership. It says Liberia will lead its own journey to self-reliance. That's the dream, right? But how does that square with a framework where the US government still holds all the purse strings and largely dictates the programs the money goes to? True ownership means giving a country the flexibility to decide its own priorities. Is Liberia getting to decide where this money goes? Or are they just managing programs that have already been designed in Washington, D.C.? The language is vague, and history tells us that donor-driven priorities often overshadow local needs. Let's also be skeptical about the timing. This announcement comes amid a global landscape where influence is a key currency. Is this move truly about altruism and the health of Liberians? Or is it a strategic move to secure an ally and project American soft power in a region where other global players are increasingly active? When aid is tied so closely to geopolitical strategy, you have to ask whose interests are really being served first. The press release even frames it under the America First Global Health Strategy. The name itself tells you the primary beneficiary. Finally, the MOU emphasizes measuring results and strengthening accountability. These are great buzzwords, but they can also be bureaucratic traps. They often translate into endless reporting requirements that bog down already understaffed local health ministries. Instead of doctors and nurses focusing on patients, they are stuck filling out forms to prove to a foreign government that the money is being spent properly. It can create a system that's more about ticking boxes than achieving real, sustainable health outcomes. So, while any funding for Liberia's health system is welcome, let's not get carried away by the triumphant press release. This $125 million move looks less like a revolutionary new partnership and more like business as usual. It's repackaged existing funds, amounts to a pittance per capita, and is wrapped in the language of strategic self-interest. It's a great deal for PR, but whether it is a great deal for the average Liberian trying to get decent health care remains to be seen. And I, for one, will remain skeptical. Thanks for watching. If you want more critical takes on global affairs, be sure to subscribe.
Okay, you know what? Sorry, folks. I gotta go back. I gotta go back and bring that article to read it. I was muted when I read it, but I need to read it. I need to read it. So be with me. Let me get back here. I need to find that article. Hold on. Let me see. All right, I have it here. I need to read that article. I need to read it. I'm not gonna leave it out. Not an article anyway. Sorry, not an article. All right. So now again, I don't know if he was the one that said it, so I'm not going to say he said it, okay? Because I did not see the video. But this is what this person said, and I love it, and that's why I'm going to read it. But again, it is not proving. It is not proving that he actually said it. But I love what is being said, and I'm going to read it. I love it. Now, this person said, according to what this person said it was he that said it. A message from President Kim of MK. Now, I'm not going to call the whole full name for the benefit of this channel. Our channel got to stay so they can keep operating. But it says, message from President Kim of MK. It says, I will support and protect Abraham Traore until Africa unites. Our brothers and sisters from Africa deserve to enjoy the fruit of their motherland. All white nations do not support this because they know that a united Africa will automatically become the most powerful continent on earth. In fact, a united Africa can fully conquer and colonize France. According to this person, this president said it. Now you know who this president is. Now I'm not going to call the name, but anyway. All right, this is today's presentation, folks. We end here, we stop here. This is what I have to give to you. United Africa, united we are, divided we fall, right? United we stand, divided we fall. And divided we are, the more the European nation or the enemies come to conquer us. Anyway, that is a presentation I have to give you today to talk about the issue in Benin, how it happened, who or was behind it, and also to talk about subsequent coup that will be happening on the African continent, right? We have to analyze these coups, right? Coup going to be happening around election time period that will be manipulated by the West in order to keep the corrupt leader in power that is protecting the interests of the West. And also there will be coup that will take place that will be real coup. But again, it's going to be manipulated again, just how this was, the Benin incident was manipulated by Nigeria, France, and Africa to stop it, to make sure to keep this corrupt government or puppet leader in power, right? On the demise and sufferings of the people. So these things are going to happen. It's going to keep coming up, okay? But let us keep tight, and as we continue to protect, especially the AES, because the fall of the AES is the fall of the African continent. And the succeeding, or if the AES succeed, the African continent succeed. So we cannot allow propaganda to go against, or propaganda to win against the AES nation. So that is why we have to be prudent. We have to be on alert and make sure we present information based on our struggle, on our perspective, right? Based on our reality. We have to be very mindful presenting when it comes to issues affecting we African. Not because the West report on it and then we go, oh, Western countries say this. No, the West will never report anything good when it comes to Africa. BBC will not report anything good. ABC will not report anything good. CNN will not report anything. Have you seen them reporting about the achievement of the AES? Never. Because they know the achievement of the AES, right, is failure to them. But the AES-4 is an achievement to them. Because when again will we see another African country rising up? Just how you see they go to assassinate African leader, then they have to take another years for another brave African leader to come out. When they killed Patrice Lumumba, when America, directly or indirectly, when they killed the CIA, when they killed Patrice Lumumba, you know how long it took for another leader to rise up? When they killed Amilcar Cabral, you know how long it took? When they took out Sankara, it took 30 years for another Sankara to come in Burkina Faso, which is Ibrahim Traoré. But this time around, we were so fortunate. We were fortunate when the United States government and NATO went and killed Gaddafi. We were so fortunate. It never took long. We saw three great African leaders, Ibrahim Traoré, Assimi Goïta, and Tiani, in few years that rose up. Why? Because Africans are now carrying on narrating their own perspective. That's why it never took long for these three leaders to come out. That's why it never took long for us to understand the rationale behind these three leaders' vision. Because we use social media now to do research, at the same time narrating our story. At the same time, people getting to relate. Okay, and at the same time exposing the United States and exposing Europe of their plan against Africa. And that's why Africa was swept to understand what Ibrahim Traoré meant, what Tiani meant, what Keita meant. And that's why you saw worldwide protests. When that crazy and stupid American general sat down and said they should take war to Burkina Faso to go kill African people. And African people worldwide reacted quickly, swiftly, and warned him and said, that's right. It will not be good for you. And that led him to resign. Because we are writing our own story. We are narrating our own story. We are not allowing the West to narrate our story no more. We are not allowing the West to write our story no more. We are not allowing the West to document our story no more. Because each time they tell our story, they tell it from different angles, from different perspectives. Each time they write our story, they write it with different perspective, with different angle. Each time they document our story, they document it with different perspective, with different angle. And then when they do these things, when they write, they narrate, we don't see solution to our problem. But when we ourselves write our story, narrate our story, we see solution. And that is why you see the Shahid nation are succeeding. And we are behind the African, both home and abroad, are supporting the Shahid nation. And we should continue to do that. We should continue to believe each other, story, narrative. Right? I'll stop here. We've been here for a long. Share, like, subscribe. All right? We need to grow. We need to grow. What are you doing? It's not going to harm you. Just hit it. Hit the notification so that when we go, you will see us. Anyway, this is WCC. I am your host. This is Frank, your revolutionary repatriation educational lecture series. Love you guys. Peace.
The white power structure, because that's all we have in America. And the white power structure today is just as much interested in perpetuating slavery as the white power structure was 100 years ago. Only now they use modern methods of doing so. And realizing that the black people in this country are waking up and becoming filled with a desire to be looked upon as men and as human beings. The white power structure, to slow down that struggle for freedom and human dignity, uses tricks. 100 years ago they could do it with chains. Today they use tricks. And one of the tricks that they've invented is this token integration. To get Negro, so-called Negro leaders to accept a few token crumbs of integration that don't solve any problem for the masses of black people in this country whatsoever, but it does make the hand-picked Negroes be satisfied to slow down the cry of the masses. And a good example of that is as soon as the spirit of rebellion or revolution began to spread among the masses of black people in this country, and they began to take an active part, and they showed that they weren't confined to this nonviolent approach, then the government or the power structure began to sit up and take notice and